So there's this kingdom named Hyrule, and it fell on hard times. An evil pig named Ganon came along and killed everybody. It was truly quite the bummer. Luckily for them, a young hero rose and killed Ganon and saved everybody. Unfortunately, following an adventure which involved waking a sleeping princess, we ran out of possible stories we could tell with the valiant young lad. So the only logical step was to send us back in time to when the kingdom was still semi-prosperous. Clearly, there were just no other options. So how are things going for the land of Hyrule of the past? Well, thankfully we have opening cinematics to fill us in on all the details. Long ago, in the beautiful kingdom of Hyrule, surrounded by mountains and forests, ... Legends told of an omnipotent and omniscient golden power that resided in a hidden land. Ah yes, the all-knowing and all-powerful triangles. I can't believe they snubbed courage in this opening. Many people aggressively sought to enter the hidden golden land. Ah yes, I see some Zerkers giving it their all over here. Shout out to all my RuneScape homies. That sailing update definitely didn't delay this video at all. No siree. Anyways, no one ever returned. Wait, what? Oh, right, from the hidden golden land. Forgot my own narrative for a second there. One day, evil power began to flow from the golden land. ... So the king commanded 7 wise men, that's not right, but okay, to seal the gate to the land of the golden power. Man, that story sounds amazing. Hope we get to experience it someday. It sounds like it'd be a story of all time. Anyways, that seal should have remained for all time. ... Boy, they sure do love their ellipses, don't they? But when these events were obscured by the myths of time and became legend... Mode 7 Zoom In. A mysterious wizard known as Ganon came to Hyrule to release the seal. He eliminated the good king of Hyrule... Wow, that escalated quickly. Through evil magic... Ah, cripes, I thought I was done with evil magic after Dragon Quest. When will people learn the corrupting nature of magic is not to be trifled with? Anyways, he began to make the descendants of the 7 wise men vanish one after another. Is the lightning really necessary to get them to disappear? I feel like you could just stab them, or, I don't know, send them to Fiji. The time of destiny for Princess Zelda is drawing near. Well, thank goodness she's barely a character in this game. It's time to set up our character, who is named Link. Now, you can name him whatever you want, but there's a force inside of me that prevents me from calling this character anything else but Link. I should mention that this is not the Link of the previous game. He's more like a precursor. It's impossible to explain without spoiling future games. Anyways, the game begins on a dark and stormy night. A voice calls for you within a dream, saying, "Help me, ... Please help me, ... I am a prisoner in the dungeon of the castle. My name is Zelda." I feel like I've heard that name before. The wizard Ganon has done ... something to the other missing girls. I don't know if I want more or less details about that. Now only I remain ... Ganon has seized control of the castle and is now trying to open the 7 wise men's seal. Well, he sounds like he's just the worst. I am in the dungeon of the castle. Please help me ... I'll get right on that, but first I'm probably going to have to get out of bed. On second thought, sounds like too much effort. Link's uncle, a character you shouldn't get too attached to, wakes up by loudly proclaiming, "Link, I am going out for a while. I'll be back by morning. Don't leave the house." He then leaves while being armed to the teeth. You know what seems like a really good idea? Let's follow him. Be sure to grab the lamp in the chest. We wouldn't want to get lost in the dark. As we head outside to go after our uncle, we are greeted by a raging storm. It's nice to see us return to our roots after attempting to be Mario for a second there. As we head on over to the castle, a castle guard stops us from going in, saying that we're not allowed to go into the castle, and that we should go home and get some sleep. In fact, in every direction we can possibly go in, we'll eventually run into castle guards who tell us that we should go back to bed. Look, man, I wish I could, but I got a princess telepathically yelling in my ear. It's kinda hard to sleep through that. If you take too long to figure out what you're supposed to do, Zelda will chime in to remind you and give you a hint to check for a hidden path in the garden near the castle. This garden consists of 6 weeds and a tree. That's a pretty sad garden. If you pick the weed that's obviously covering something, you'll discover a hole in the ground, which when we fall into, we find a hidden path. We even get a nice little jingle to let us know we did well. As we walk down the hidden path, we'll run into our uncle who has been mortally wounded. Come on, man, really? You barely made it like 4 whole steps into this journey. With his dying breath, our uncle reminds us that he didn't want us to get involved, but immediately goes back on that idea and hands us his sword and shield, while giving us instructions to do a spin attack. You can focus power in the blade. Hold the B button. B button? My goodness, Uncle, you must be close to death, as you are saying nonsense at this point. Then, right before he dies, our uncle says, Link, you can do it. Save the princess. Zelda is your... ... Not certain why they decided to cut the word destiny from this speech, but hey, it only caused multiple generations of gamers to believe that this Link and Zelda are related by blood, leading to some of the dumbest conversations I've ever been a part of. So what am I complaining about? Anyways, we now have a sword and shield, which means we can go on to fight and kill the poor castle guards who are just doing their jobs. Let's go to the end of this hidden path and penetrate into Hyrule Castle. A Link to the Past wastes no time whatsoever and throws you immediately into the first dungeon. However, Hyrule Castle is barely a dungeon. It's kind of just one giant loop, where in the back you can find the entrance to the castle's basement. Otherwise known as a dungeon, but that's a term in the Zelda universe, and I was afraid I'd lose people if I called this place the Dungeon's Dungeon. Anyways, we can kill the guard to get a key and open this chest to get a map. As according to the map, it seems like this dungeon is pretty straightforward. As we get further along, we'll have to go into this one room where we find a familiar sight of a guard and a chest. The one thing that's annoying about fighting the guards is that they are able to block your hits. But thankfully, this chest has a boomerang in it, which we can use to stun enemies. It makes my murder of these guards so much easier. Anyways, we find ourselves in the prison cells where we have our first boss battle. The Ball and Chain Trooper. He's a pretty easy fight, just stun him with your boomerang and make sure he doesn't touch you with his spiky balls. Eventually he dies and drops a big key, which allows you to open the prison cell containing the Princess Zelda. We rescued Zelda already? Well, that was fast. Thanks everyone for watching the series. See you for the next one. Just kidding, we've barely gotten started. Zelda thanks us and tells us that she felt that we were getting close. What is it with video game princesses having the ability to know how far we are away from them? Is this just some inherent trait that women have that no one told me about? And how long were you planning on keeping this information from me, Google? Anyways, Zelda tells us to listen carefully and that Ganon has been magically controlling all the soldiers in the castle. Ooh, I feel bad for indiscriminately ending their lives now. Oh, who am I kidding? That's what you get for being brainwashed, you useless Paul Blart knockoff. Anyway, Zelda continues speaking with, I fear the worst for my father, ... Okay, I'll stop doing that. The wizard is an inhuman fiend with strong magical powers. Do you understand? No, not at all. She then repeats herself and doesn't elaborate whatsoever. Anyways, I eventually just say, yep, I understand everything that's going on right now, and Zelda responds by telling me that we need to leave before the wizard notices. She knows of a secret path, but first we have to go back to the first floor. So as we escort Zelda to the throne room located on the second floor, lying little wench, she tells us that we can move this ornamental shelf aside. That's a shelf, and there should be a secret passage to a nearby sanctuary. But we should only enter if we have a light. Thankfully, we grabbed the lamp before our adventure began, so let's work together to push open this secret tunnel. The tunnel is mainly just a dark hallway that's filled with rats and ropes, but you can light up parts of the area by using your lamp to light torches. Also, it turns out that this whole area is a sewer. Wish you would have told me that before I took a step in the poo water. Anyways, eventually we come to a room which has 2 switches. Zelda, being as helpful as always, tells us to pull the switch over there. Oh gee, thanks. I'll pull one at random and yep, rigged with ropes. Why am I not surprised? But as you approach the correct one, Zelda will tell you how to pull it. You couldn't have warned me like 5 seconds ago? Anyways, as we arrive at the sanctuary, we are greeted by the loyal sage who says, Princess Zelda, are you safe? Is this your doing, Link? Absolutely. Despite her best efforts, I was able to rescue the princess. Which Zelda confirms. Zelda also tells us the plan of the wizard, which is to finish off Zelda to open up the Seal of the Wise Men. You have no idea how hard it is to stop myself from saying the Seal of the Sages. We are then told that we must not let Hyrule fall into the wizard's clutches, and that we must destroy him before he opens the seal. You can do it. You can. You seem so sure of that fact. The sage senses that a greater evil force powers Ganon and that the only weapon potent enough to defeat the wizard is the legendary Master Sword. Ah yes, the Master Sword, the Sword of Evil's Bane, quite possibly the most iconic item from this series. I've been looking forward to finally adding it to our collection. It is said that the village elder is a descendant of one of the 7 wise men. Maybe he can tell you more. The lack of confidence you have in everything is just so helpful right now. I will mark his house on your map, but watch your every move. I am certain that the castle soldiers will be looking for you now. Yeah, that makes sense. I probably did kill more of them than I needed to. The sage says that he will hide Princess Zelda here and that we should seek out the elder. Do you understand? No. Not at all. So after having the loyal sage explain the plot to me once again, it becomes clear to me that we're supposed to go find the Elder of Kakariko. But before we get started on our journey, we should make sure to grab this chest, the contents of which are the first heart container. Our reward for overcoming such a dangerous first dungeon. Anyways, in order to find Kakariko Village, we need to take a look at our map, which gives us a lovely layout of the entirety of Hyrule. The loyal sage was kind enough to mark our map with our next location with a big old red X, so let's head in that direction. Be on the lookout for any castle guards wandering about, as they will attempt to murk you on sight. Jeez, it's almost like we're wanted criminals or something. Oh right, we are. Aw man, couldn't they have used a better picture of me? This one doesn't capture my luscious pink hair at all. Can I explain why Link has pink hair? Well, of course I can. Anyways, as we arrive at the village of Kakariko, we can make our way to the cottage of the village elder, whose name is Sahasrara, Sasalele. I'm not gonna get it anytime soon. Let's head inside and talk to the elder. Unfortunately, he's not here, as only his wife can be found. She tells us that the elder hasn't been seen since the wizard began kidnapping people. Well, ain't that the most inconvenient time to take a trip? We then ask her about the Master Sword, presumably. You know, silent protagonists and whatnot. She tells us that she doesn't remember all the details, but long ago, a prosperous people known as the Hyrule inhabited this land. That seems wrong, but okay. Legends tell of many treasures that the Hyrule hid throughout the land. Yeah, I bet they do, but I'm kinda looking for a particular... The Master Sword, yep, that one. A mighty blade forged against those with evil hearts is one of them. People say that now it is sleeping deep in the forest. Do you understand the legend? I mean, probably not, but I'm going to say yes to get the show rolling. Anyway, she says we should look for the elder. Someone in the village knows where he is? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why would I need the elder? You just told me the Master Sword is in the forest. Let's head in and get our sword. Oh, no, this is the Lost Woods. For those of you that don't know, the Lost Woods are woods that you generally wind up being lost in. Yeah, you know what? I guess that one explains itself. How bad could it be? I can only find fake Master Swords, a mushroom, and a piece of heart in a hole? New to the series, scattered throughout the land are pieces of heart. Collect 4 and you get another heart container. We might as well keep an eye out for them. I found a thief in this place where I found the piece of heart. Apparently this is a secret hideout for thieves. Did I just steal from thieves? No honor for me, I guess. Anyways, for whatever reason, he tells us that an ex-member is hanging out near the entrance to the desert. I guess I'll keep that in mind if I ever head to the desert. Anyways, I don't think we will get anywhere in the forest. Might as well head back to the village and look for people who know where the elder is. Oh crap, we fell into the well. At least we can find some bombs down here? Who's planning acts of terrorism in the bottom of the well? Seems like a creepy place to plan something like that. Anyways, if we place a bomb on the obvious crack in the wall, we can find another piece of heart. As we crawl out of the well, we might as well go around and ask people if they know where the elder is. Unfortunately, most of the people decide to just call the cops on us. Lousy snitches. Anyways, eventually we will find people who are not hostile to us. Such as this merchant who is selling bottles for 100 rupees. That seems like a lot, but it's really not. Rupees are far more plentiful than they were in the original Legend of Zelda. In fact, I have over 160 rupees and I wasn't even trying. Let me buy that bottle, merchant man. He tells us to hold it above our head for the whole world to see because it's good for business. Boy, I hope that doesn't become a trend. Anyways, what were we doing? Right, looking for someone who knows where the elder is. Maybe someone in this bar knows where he is. Or cafe. Lousy 90s censors. This guy goes mumble mumble. Oh, that's so close to a reference. My son really liked to play the flute, but he went to look for the golden power and has not returned. I wonder where he is, and what is he doing now? We'll keep an eye out for him. I'm sure it's a plot that won't drive us to tears. On the other hand, this guy saw a nice lady at the Waterfall of Wishing, whom he says we should meet. Are you trying to hook me up? I know it might not look like it, dude, but I'm cosmically bound to the royal family. Anyways, going into the back of this bar gets us another bottle. You're telling me that I could have saved 100 rupees? Well, at least I have 2 of them now. Maybe someone knows of something going on in this house behind the bar. Nope, turns out it's just a sick kid. He thinks he caught a cold from the evil air that's coming off the mountain. Yeah, that seems rational. Makes sense to me. He hands us a bug-catching net that we can borrow until he's feeling better. Thanks, kid. Hope you feel better soon. You know, stay away from that evil mountain air. Anyways, does anybody know where the frickin' elder is? Maybe there's somebody who knows something in this weird bunker-looking thing next to the elder's house. Nope, this is just a former thieves' hideout. They were led by a guy by the name of Blind, and he hated bright lights. Well, I'm sure that'll come in handy someday. Be sure to head into the basement to blow up the wall to get another heart piece and steal all the money from the thieves and sliding block puzzles, because what else am I supposed to do with my life? Maybe someone in this house surrounded by weeds will know. Nope, just some guy who tells us that he has an interesting story. There is a lake swimming with Zoras at the source of the river. And they have a treasure that apparently turns people into fish. That's neat information, but what does this have to do with the Elder? Does anybody know where this dude is? Maybe someone on the outskirts of town knows? Like maybe somebody in this smithy? No, he's just worried about his missing partner. But if he returns, they'd be able to temper my sword. Well, that's neat for whenever I need a sharper sword, but I need to find someone who knows where the Elder is right now. Maybe somebody in this library has information. Never mind, it's empty. Can't even get a hold of this book on top of this shelf. How about this house? Oh, it has a pair of brothers in it, and they're quarreling. In response, the older brother sealed the door to his younger brother's room. I don't have time for this. I'm blowing the door open. Do you know where the Elder is at? Of course you don't. But there is a lady out here who says that if I can get through a maze in 15 seconds, I can get a prize. Well, sign me up. After solving the maze, you get another heart piece, which brings our total to 4 and gives us another heart. Anyways, I feel like there's something more important I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, right, the Elder. I think I've talked to everybody in town and nobody seems to know where this dude is at. The only person I haven't talked to is this kid next to the general store. He greets us and informs us that he is the grandson of the Elder and he knows where the Elder is currently at. Of course, it's always the last guy you talk to. The grandson tells us that he will only tell us if we promise not to tell the bad people where his grandfather is hiding. Kid, do I look like I know bad people? Don't answer that. Anyways, he tells us that the Elder is hiding near a palace past the castle. He's even nice enough to mark the spot on our map. Man, that was more of a hassle than it was worth. Let's just head on over to the Eastern Palace. Hello, house. Can't wait to never go inside of you ever again. Anyways, as we arrive at the area which holds the Eastern Palace, we can follow our maps to find Sahasrarla's hideout. What? Is something wrong? Anyways, inside of this hideout, we have found the Elder who tells us that he is a descendant of the 7 wise men. Why weren't you kidnapped by Aghanim? He is surprised that we are searching for the Sword of Evil's Bane. Why would I be searching for the sword? There's nothing interesting on TV anymore, so I figured I'd save the world instead. Not just anyone can use that weapon. Legends say only the hero who has won the 3 pendants can wield the sword. Sure. Do you really want to find it? I don't know, guys. Should I go with of course, or yeah? I confirm that I want the Master Sword, and the Elder states that as a test, I must retrieve the Pendant of Courage from the Eastern Palace. So let me get this straight. In order to prove that I can find the pendants to find the sword, I first need to find a pendant. Okay, yeah, makes sense. I don't know what I'm complaining about. If I can bring it to him, he promises to tell me more of the legend and give me a magical artifact? Well, don't need to convince me any further. Let's get that magic swag. Let's head into the Eastern Palace. The Eastern Palace is our introduction to how Zelda dungeons will be from here on out, and what an introduction it is. These dungeons are better experienced than explained, so I'm not going to give a full walkthrough, because the Lord forbid that you check out these games yourself. Seriously, go play any one of these games. They're frickin' masterpieces. I'm just going to point out the things that stand out the most to me. Like how we have to dodge a bunch of balls. Why is this a trend in this dungeon? Anyways, we can find a tile which telepathically connects us with Sahasrara. He tells us that the treasure of the dungeon can be used to defeat armored foes. Hey man, no backseat gaming. As we continue to explore the palace, we can find a big chest that we can't open, so it looks like we'll have to find a big key. We can find the big key in a room filled with enemies. Just kill them all, press a button, and the chest appears. With the big key, we can open the big chest and get ourselves a bow. Which, yep, can confirm it can kill armored enemies. Inside of this jar, we can find fairies, which if we use our net on, we can capture them and put them into bottles, which can be used as a lifesaver in case we lose all of our hearts. No hospitality quite like Fey hospitality. Anyways, enough goofing around. Let's take on the boss of this dungeon, which is the Armos Knights. The Armos Knights are pretty easy. All they do is kind of hop around. You can attempt to kill them with your sword if you have time to spare, but it's far easier to take them out with your arrows. Eventually, only one will be left, and he gets mega mad at us for killing all of his friends. He turns red and attempts to crush us by jumping on us. Nothing has really changed in our strategy, just keep volleying him with arrows until he explodes. Then pick up the heart container they leave behind. After that, the Pendant of Courage drops from the ceiling. Let's go collect it and bring it to the Elder so we can find out what magic swag he's given us. Oh, and get more information about the Master Sword, but let's be real here, we all know we just want that magic item. With the Pendant of Courage in hand, we return to Sahasrara, who tells us that he will tell us more about the legend. 3 or 4 generations ago, an order of knights protected the royalty of Hyrule. Wow, knights protecting a royal family. What a novel idea for a medieval society. These knights were also guardians of the Pendant of Courage. Only specifically the Pendant of Courage? Suppose power and wisdom were just too much of a handle. Now look, we can look after 1 necklace, but 3? You couldn't pay me enough to look after 3 necklaces. These knights must have taken their jobs really seriously or not seriously at all. I don't know which, but there's definitely no in-between. Anyways, unfortunately most of the knights were destroyed in a great war against evil that took place when the 7 wise men created their seal. Oof, I guess they took their job super seriously. Among the descendants of the Knights of Hyrule, a hero must appear. You sure about that? I feel like the title Fallen Hero Timeline doesn't bode well for us. I see. Link, I believe you. Believe what? I haven't said anything. You should get the remaining pendants. Why are you putting words into my mouth? And carry this with you. This is a treasure passed down by the families of the wise men. I want you to have it. He then hands us the Pegasus shoes. The families of the wise men handed down shoes. Do you understand why that's so ridiculous? I really don't like spoiling future titles, but in a later entry it's revealed that the sages, or the wise men if you prefer, were made up of all the various races of Hyrule. There's something about this being the gift handed down by fish people and rockmen that is extraordinarily funny to me. Anyways, he then tells us that there is a helpful item hidden in the cave on the east side of Lake Hylia. Well, we might as well go take a look-see and see what kind of item this is. Lake Hylia might look close to us, but Mode 7 can be deceiving. For whatever reason, we actually can't get to the east side of Lake Hylia from where we're at, and we'll have to take the long way around instead. Thankfully, the Pegasus boots give us the ability to dash and ram into things, where apparently we smash into things with such force that it can even shatter piles of rocks. Link, what have you been eating? Sometimes destroying these piles will create staircases, where if you go down them, you can find goodies inside. Like this one near the sanctuary, which gets you a piece of heart. Anyways, as we head over to check out the eastern side of Lake Hylia, oh look, some random building. We should definitely check what's inside. Turns out there's just some water in here. Wonder what happens when we pull this switch. Oh neat, it drained all the water from the swamp above. I was led to believe that this was a far more difficult task. Anyways, we can pick up a piece of heart, and you know, I kind of feel bad for these fish. I'm gonna bring it back to the river. Be free, little fish. The fish jumps out of the water and thanks us by giving us some rupees. Well, thanks, little guy. I mean, the reward was just helping out a defenseless... Oh, wait a minute. He threw them into a location. I can't reach them. You slimy, scaled scum. I'm gonna jump in there and give you a piece of my mind. Ah yes, you exploited the fact that I can't swim. Touché, fishy fish. Stupid fish, I should have sold you to the bottle merchant instead. Anyways, what was I doing? Right, looking for secrets on the east side of Lake Hylia. Boy, you can get so distracted in a game like this. Walking around the edge of the lake, we'll eventually come to a cave. Blow up the hidden entrance over here, and you can find the Ice Rod. The Ice Rod can freeze enemies at the cost of having to use a bit of evil magic, which I just realized is the first time that I've mentioned that we can indeed use magic. Not sure why this link is inherently magical, but you kinda learn to roll with the inconsistent abilities of the hero throughout the series. Anyways, despite how out of the way it is to get the Ice Rod, it is absolutely required to beat the game. But you are not going to believe it when it is required. I'll point it out when we get there. Anyways, we should probably start looking for those other pendants. Thankfully, our map gives us their location, and we can see that one is located in the Desert of Mystery. So let's head in that direction. I vaguely remember the thief in the Lost Woods mentioning that there was a member of theirs at the entrance of the desert, but I can't find anything besides this suspicious middle-aged man sitting next to this sign. He's not telling us anything. I wonder what the sign says. Pay no attention to the average middle-aged man standing by this sign. Oh, he's just some normal dude. Well, that answers all my questions. Bye, dude. I bet we'll never have to talk to you again. Anyways, as we explore the desert, we will eventually find this odd stage area with a monolith standing in the middle of it. Reading the monolith makes it clear that we don't know how to read this monolith. Guess we'll have to come back to it later and continue to explore the desert. Eventually, we'll find a cave which holds this old man who looks like Sahasrahla, but is a completely different old man. I mean, can't you tell the difference between these two? He introduces himself as Agana, and he senses something is happening in the Golden Land. Buddy, if you only knew. This must be an omen of the great cataclysm foretold by the people of Hylian blood. Whoa, please tell me that you were going to explain that great cataclysm prophecy and not leave us hanging. The prophecy says, oh, thank goodness, you have no idea how many people hold out on something like that. Anyways, the prophecy says the hero will stand in the desert holding the Book of Medora. That seems like a very on-the-nose prophecy. If you have the Book of Medora, you can read the language of the Hylia people. Aren't we all Hylia people? I mean, long ears. Maybe that hasn't been established yet. It should be in the house of books in the village. Dude, that's called a library. You must get it if you are the person who will be the hero. Whoa, dude, I don't know if you know what that title means in this universe. That's a lot to throw at someone, especially considering the fact the last one failed miserably, chronologically speaking. Spoilers. Kind of. It's far more complicated than I can get into at the moment. Also, isn't this a sign of the omen of the Great Cataclysm? You weren't necessarily clear on that. Anyways, it looks like we have to go back to Kakariko, but before we do that, we should bomb this wall and collect this piece of heart. Ah yes, stealing from the elderly, my favorite pastime. As we head back to Kakariko, ooh, look, a little grotto area. We should check it out. Inside the grotto, we find a kid playing on a flute, which seems to have attracted quite a few animals. Hey, I think this is the kid that guy in the bar mentioned. Approaching him to confirm this information causes him to disappear into thin air. Huh. Wonder where he went. Oh, right. We're supposed to be looking for a library. So heading back into the library, we notice a book on top of one of the shelves. Ramming the shelf with the Pegasus boots will cause the book to drop, and we have found the Book of Medora. Well, that was super necessary. I guess we'll begin the long journey back to the Desert of Mystery. Eventually we'll find ourselves in front of the stone block again, and it tells us to open the way to go forward, make your wish here, and it will be granted. I wish for cheeseburgers. Somehow, my wish results in the stone statues moving out of my way. Man, looks like I'll have to get my beef fixed some other way. Anyways, let's head into the Desert Palace. The Desert Palace is truly open. You can practically go into any room at the start. It can be a bit overwhelming the first time you go through it, despite the fact that someone in the comments is scoffing at that idea after they've played through the game 1,000 times. Be on the lookout for Beamos. Their laser eyes can snipe you from across the room. Neatly enough, you can just leave the dungeon during the middle of it. Unfortunately, some small rocks get in our way, so we can't go any further. But we are able to find a piece of heart up here, which gives us another 4 in total, adding another heart to our life. I don't know if it's healthier or not to have this many hearts. Exploring further in the palace itself, we find another panel that the Elder can speak to us through.
And he tells us that we must never fail to find all the treasures in each dungeon. Oh gee, thanks man, never would have come to that conclusion on my own. Hey look, a key! Using that key, we're able to find the big key by dodging balls. Why is this a trend in this game? Where after you pick up every jar in this room, we can find a button. It's always the last one you check, every time. And this leads us to the big chest, which holds the power glove. Now we're playing with power. And we can use that power to lift stones, which means we can get to the upper levels of this dungeon. Eventually, after dealing with an insane amount of floating tiles attempting to murder us and using torches to bend the fabric of reality, we find the boss chamber. Inside of which we can find the boss of the dungeon, which is Lanmola. What was a small-time enemy from the first game has been upgraded to the big show as giant flying worms. They'll pop out of the ground, fling rocks at you, and menacingly float around. All you gotta do is either hit them in the head with your sword or arrows. Or if you really want to embarrass these snakes, just use the ice rod. Not that it's required, but it absolutely murders them. Eventually you'll destroy all the Lanmola and they'll drop a heart container and then a pendant drops from the ceiling. We go pick up the pendant and it is the pendant of power. That's not the color of power! So we have one pendant left to get, and looking at our map, it seems to be way up north in the mountains. So we might as well head in that direction. How do we get up there? Anyways, as we try to figure out how to get up the mountain, I stumbled across this witch. She says, the smell of rotten fruit. Oh, excuse me, I didn't realize you farted. Oh, she's talking about the mushroom I have. Well, now I just feel awkward for the both of us. If we give it to her, she can finish her brew. I've seen enough fairy tales to know that this is an awesome idea. Here's the mushroom lady. She takes the mushroom and tells us to come back later for something good. Heh. Well, I'll keep that creepy proposition in mind. What does this sign say? Welcome to the magic shop. Yeah, you don't say. The waterfall of wishing is just ahead. Ah, yes, the waterfall of wishing. I vaguely remember someone saying something about that. Let's go check it out. Unfortunately, a giant boulder stands in our way, but thankfully we have the power glove. We used to struggle picking up tiny stones, but now with the power glove we can pick up boulders with ease.
I love the power glove. It's so bad.
Yeah, well, just keep your power gloves off her, pal, huh?
This movie was a fever dream. Gah, sorry, I got distracted. What was I doing? Right, looking for the waterfall of wishing. Well, I think I found it, but I can't tell for certain as I can't swim. If only someone could teach me how to swim. Hey, is that a Zora? I kinda remember someone mentioning that Zora can turn people into fish. And fish can swim. I think. My last class of biology was like 4,000 years ago for me. Anyways, as we head down the river to its source, along the way we dodge an army of Zora trying to make us sleep with the fishes. We eventually find this big chungus of a Zora. Is Big Chungus a reference people are going to know anymore? Anyways, he asks us what we want. And without any prompting whatsoever, we ask him for a pair of flippers. He laughs and says he doesn't give the flippers away for free, but he will sell them to us for 500 rupees a pair? Man, remember when having 200 rupees seemed like a lot? There must have been some crazy deflation of value between A Link to the Past to the original. So I pay the big Zorungus 500 rupees, and he gives us the flippers, on top of the ability to use the magic waterways of the sea folk. Whenever we see a whirlpool, we should dive into it. You never know where it'll lead. Oh, I know where a whirlpool leads. The bottom of the river! Is this guy trying to kill me? Anyways, we got the Zora's flippers now, so we can swim anywhere. We're even able to pick up this piece of heart by swimming down a waterfall near the chunky fish man. But more importantly, this means we can swim into the waterfall of wishing, which leads us to a pond. A mysterious pond. Won't you throw something in? Yeah, that seems legit. Here's my boomerang. Suddenly, a great fairy appears before us and asks us if we dropped this boomerang. I mean, in my defense, I was asked to, so yes. She tells us that she likes an honest person and will give us something better in return. She then gives us the magic boomerang. Holy cow, how many items will you upgrade, pond lady? Turns out only my shield can be improved. But now I have a fire shield, which protects me against fireballs. That's neat, I guess. Oh look, a whirlpool right outside of the wishing well, or the mysterious pond, or whatever it was called. Let's dive on in. Somehow we wound up at Lake Hylia, where we landed right in front of the island in the middle of the lake. Is it still considered an island if it's in the middle of a lake? Why am I asking this question when I already know the answer?
Anyways, on the island we can find a cave, and inside of that cave we can find another pond. This is the Pond of Happiness, and it asks if we want to throw our rupees into it. I don't know about you, but when I picture happiness, I definitely imagine throwing my hard-earned money into a giant hole, so I absolutely threw some rupees in. In fact, I decided to throw in 100 rupees to increase my happiness level to 100. And this caused a beautiful woman to appear before me. And she says that she will make our wish come true. Throwing enough money away until a woman comes to grant all of our wishes. What did Nintendo mean by this? Anyways, Link, who has a one-track mind, his deepest wish is to increase the ability to either carry more bombs or more arrows. Depending on which one you choose, it will increase the maximum amount you can carry by 5. You can do this until you get to either 50 bombs or 70 arrows. I'll be getting these maximums off screen so as to not annoy everyone with the rupee throwing grind. Anyways, now that we're done with being happy, we should probably get back to figuring out how to get to that pendant. Hey, let's see if we can't swim up to the mountain. Why? Look, if it's good enough for salmon, it's good enough for me. As we swim under this bridge, we are unfortunately blocked from returning to our ancestral breeding grounds by a wall of rocks. But while we're under here, we can spot a guy sleeping underneath this bridge. Talking to him reveals that he knows us somehow and our situation, and all he can do to help us is give us a bottle. I mean, I'm not going to complain about a free bottle, but I feel like there's more that you could be doing, tent dude. Anyways, as we head to the north, we eventually run into a couple of lumberjacks who are attempting to cut down a tree. One of them warns us about a mysterious fog in the forest. Yeah, no idea what's going on there. I'm definitely not looking into that or anything. The other one tells us that the tree that they're cutting feels kind of strange. As somebody that has only been present for a couple of trees that needed to be lumberjacked, I'll take your word for it. Near the lumberjack's home, there is a sign that says, "Danger, do not enter Death Mountain without the king's permission." Well, the king's presumably dead at the moment, so I'm just going to lift this boulder and head into this dark cave. Eventually we find this old man who says, old man voice, "I don't know who you are, but if you are going up to the mountain, will you take me with you? I lost my lamp, so..." Sure, I guess I can lead you out of here, especially since you didn't give me any other option. This old man will give us warnings about holes in the ground, and he'll give us directions to get out of this cave. He then begins questioning, why are we on this mountain? "Are you looking for the golden power? Well, just as a warning, the mountain is full of monsters and many people vanished in this mountain." Are you about to confess to being a serial killer, old man? To be fair to him, he does try to dissuade us from throwing our lives away looking for the golden power. He also mentions that he has a granddaughter who is around our age. She was one of the maidens who was kidnapped by Aghanim. He theorizes that kidnapping the girls must be part of the wizard's plan to use the power of the descendants of the wise men. Way to be the last person to come to that conclusion. As we leave the cave, we eventually lead the old man to his house, which is another cave. How did you get lost in something similar to your house? That's like going to an IKEA and getting lost inside of it, which has happened to me before, so you know what, fair enough, old man. Anyways, he tells us that he believes that the missing maidens are still alive somewhere and that a hero will rescue them. He then shows off his conspiracy theorist mind by saying that he talked too much and thanks us for helping him out by handing us the magic mirror, which we should look into if we ever wander into a magical transporter. So remember kids, if you see a dark cave, be sure to walk into it because there might be old men in there waiting to give you presents. He then goes to head inside. If we invite ourselves in and speak to him, he tells us that we need the moon pearl, which is in the tower on top of the mountain. Thank goodness somebody mentioned the tower before we got there. A tower? Man, that must be where the pendant is at. Anyways, as we head to the top of the mountain... Oh, shoot, I fell. Well, thankfully, we can find a piece of heart and a panel from Sahasrahla. Sahasrahla tells us that as we make our way to the top of Spectacle Rock, we can reach the Tower of Hera on top of Death Mountain. Just based on the name alone, I'm gonna guess that's the next dungeon. I mean, I don't have to guess. I've been playing this game since before most of you were born. Although I really can't say that, as according to analytics, my audience is primarily older than me. How's your back doing, bud? Anyways, as we head up to be near Spectacle Rock, we can find the base of a tower, but we can't get to it. All we can find is this blue panel. Stepping on the panel will warp us to a new location and for some reason transform us into a defenseless rabbit. Huh. Well, that doesn't happen every day. It might be due to my new leopard senses, but something seems very off with our current surroundings. Opening up our map will reveal that something strange has happened in the world of Hyrule. Everything seems twisted and out of order. It might be best to look around for clues as to where we are. Nearby, we can find a goblin-looking creature that's kicking around a ball-looking creature. Talking to the goblin, he says, "What do you want? Do you have something to say to me, silly rabbit?" Silly rabbit? Aw, I thought I was a manly rabbit. Anyways, the bully here says, I came here to get the power of gold, but now I'm a freak, and I can't get back to the real world. I have a feeling that you were a freak before you wound up here. If only I had the moon pearl from the Tower of Hera, I could get back to my original shape. I feel like this game is really trying to get me to realize how important this moon pearl is. I've got good reason to be stressed out, so back off. Shoo, shoo. Well, it doesn't seem like he knows where we're at either. Or at the very least, he's not going to tell us. Why don't we talk to this sentient rock instead? The round rock says, Oh, who are you, Mr. Bunny? Well, you're far kinder. This world is like the real world, but evil has twisted it. The golden power is what changed your shape to reflect what is in your heart and mind. The golden power is here? Then we must be in the golden land. Or at least, what used to be the golden land. Twisted by evil, it has become the dark world. Trust me, we're going to get more into the concept as we go along. But for right now, we're going to continue our conversation with this tiny little rock. I am always changing my mind, so I turned into a ball. Why in the world are balls such a big deal in this game? But if you have a ball called the Moon Pearl, you can keep your original shape here. I wonder how many times we're going to hear about the Moon Pearl before we actually get to it. Anyways, we have to find our way out of the dark world. Walking around, we seem to be stuck on top of this mountain. I can't seem to find any way out of here. Oh, wait a minute, the old man at the mountain. He gave us the magic mirror just in case we accidentally wandered into a magical transporter. Well, we got nothing else going for us. Might as well give it a shot. Oh, neat. We're not a rabbit anymore. Also, we're on top of Spectacle Rock. Thank you for your comment correcting my pronunciation. It really helps us in the algorithm. Anyways, we can grab this piece of heart and jump off Spectacle Rock to head towards the Tower of Hera. The Tower of Hera is a 6-floor behemoth. Also, I hate to bring this up, but what is this tower named after? I know it's named after Hera, the Greek goddess of constantly being cheated on by your brother, but who is that in the Zelda universe? What, are you telling me that they didn't care about their lore and building their own universe until Ocarina of Time? Because that's too reasonable of an explanation for most Zelda fans. I am one of those fans. Anyways, as we climb the tower, we'll run into hard hat beetles, which can knock us around and cause us to fall down to a lower floor. Oh, this is going to be one of those types of dungeons. Annoying. As we get higher up in the tower, we find a Sahasrara panel, and he decided to tell us that the Moon Pearl is in the tower. Oh gee, you don't say. It's only been mentioned like 1,000 times. There does seem to be a big chest on this floor, but we can't get to it, even by using these weird stars on the ground, which change the position of the holes. Not sure how that works physically, but I'll roll with it. If we go one floor up, we can find this hole in the ground, which if we fall through from the top, we can land on the platform with a way to get to the big treasure chest. If you fall from the bottom, you reset the path, wasting your time. The worst sin in gaming. Opening the big chest with the big key, which for those of you that care was located in the basement, reveals that it's holding the Moon Pearl. Wow, I couldn't have guessed that in 1,000 years. Well, anyways, there's only one thing left to do in this dungeon, and that's fight the boss of this dungeon. At the top of the tower, we can find the boss, which is Moldorm. This guy. For those of you that don't know, this is quite possibly the most annoying boss that exists in the entire franchise. All you have to do is slice his tail. Sounds easy, right? Wrong! If Moldorm touches you, he will push you around, and if you get pushed off the edge, you'll fall to the floor below and have to start the battle all over again. I mean, look at how ridiculously far this pushback is. And when I mean you start the battle over again, I mean you start the battle over again. If you fall down, you gotta climb all the way back up, and sometimes you're gonna fall down multiple floors. Moldorm requires 6 hits to kill. If you fall on the 4th hit, you gotta start over. Also, if you hit his head on accident, it's also likely to push you off the platform. And the best part of all, when you get to the 5th strike, Moldorm starts moving faster, which makes it far more likely to push you off the edge and have to start over again. I am surprised that when they were making this masterpiece of a game, the designers took a look at this boss fight and said, yep, that's good, keep it as is. Suppose they were just aiming for that 39 out of 40 Famitsu score. Anyways, after we finally deliver the final blow on Moldorm, he explodes in what I hope was an excruciating death. He drops a heart container and the final pendant drops from the ceiling. I have no idea why they were all up above in the ceilings, but whatever. We now have the Pendant of Wisdom, which gives us all 3 pendants. Now let's head to the Lost Woods to get the Master Sword. So as we leave the Tower of Hera to head towards the Lost Woods, we stumble across this stone tablet next to the tower. Pulling out the Book of Medora, the tablet reads, "Hold up the Master Sword and you will get the magic of ether." Man, the Hylian people were very on the nose with their messaging, huh? Anyways, all we gotta do to get off the mountain in order to get to the Lost Woods is to go through this cave. Fairly certain the cave we got here with is one way, so this is our only way off the mountain. Besides, saving and quitting and spawning back at our house, but that's breaking the 4th wall. As we head into the Lost Woods, we find it a bit easier to navigate through this time around. This must have something to do with holding all 3 pendants and not just me pretending like I don't know where I'm going for narrative reasons. Eventually, we find this hollow log, which, as we walk through, we're able to find a grove inside. In the center of this sacred grove, we are able to find the Master Sword, which sleeps peacefully on its pedestal. With the 3 pendants by our side, we are able to pull the Master Sword out and claim it as our prize for all of our effort thus far. The Master Sword is twice as strong as the sword we got from our presumably dead uncle. Also, at full health, it allows you to shoot out a magic beam, giving you a pretty decent ranged attack. As we pull the Master Sword from its resting spot, we are telepathically contacted by Salamanca. Mamamusa. Man, his name is so difficult to pronounce. Anyways, the Elder says, "Link, it is extraordinary that you won the Master Sword that makes evil retreat." Well, don't sound too impressed, otherwise I'll begin to suspect you knowingly sent me on a suicide mission. With this shining sword, oh wow, they mentioned that all the way back in A Link to the Past. Neat. I believe you can deflect the wizard's evil powers? Dude, I'm about to go toe-to-toe with this wizard. I'm gonna need a little more confidence here. The destiny of this land is in your hands. Please, Link. Please what? You gonna finish your thought there? Or... Oh, no, I guess he's done talking. All right. Yeah. I don't want to talk to you either. Well, now that we have the Master Sword, we might as well go get the magic of ether. As we leave the grove, we are contacted telepathically once again, this time by Princess Zelda. She says, "Link, help! The soldiers are coming to the sanctuary! Aye!" Oof, that sounds serious. I'd better head there right away. But if I don't get the magic of ether now, I know I'm just gonna forget about it. I'm sure they can hold off the soldiers for a minute or two. Heading back up to Death Mountain, I decide to stop by the lumberjacks, who point out that the fog is clearing in the forest, and they thank us for doing that. I have no idea how you know that I was behind that, but you're welcome. Anyways, back on Death Mountain, we once again must enter the Dark World, where this time we do not transform into a rabbit. Thank you, Moon Pearl. Also in the Dark World, we can see the base of some type of opposing tower that stands in the place parallel to the Tower of Hera. We can't reach it yet, but we might want to take a mental note of it, as I almost guarantee it's going to be important someday. Anyways, as we head back to the Light World, we can get the Ether Medallion by using the Book of Medora on this tablet. The Ether Medallion creates a gust of cold wind that will either defeat or freeze most enemies. Well, I'm glad we got that squared away, but I feel like I'm forgetting something. Something rather important. Oh, right. The witch who I gave the mushroom to. I bet you enough time has passed that she's finished her brew. Heading to the magic shop, we can head inside and pick up the witch's brew, which is the magic powder. The magic powder mainly has the ability to transform enemies. It can change buzzblobs into cukemen, who can say random phrases to you. And most importantly, it can transform anti-fairies into fairies, giving you another lifesaver in the middle of a dungeon. Truly, it was worth building this piece of equipment up for 3 parts. Anyways, I feel like there was something else that needed our attention. Oh, right, the sanctuary is under attack. Heading to the sanctuary, we find the loyal sage who is lying on the ground. He says to us, "Link, you're a second too late." Oof, maybe I should have held off on getting the Ether Medallion. I have failed, Zelda. Yep, this is all your fault, loyal sage. Clearly no one else is to blame here. The soldiers have abducted her. They have taken her to the castle. Again? Man, not the most creative bunch, are they? You must find her before the wizard works his magic. Don't worry, Sage. I'll get there before Aghanim has a chance to seduce Zelda. Please. The sage then disappears as he presumably dies. Well, clearly this was unavoidable. No need to needlessly throw around blame like who got who killed by having extreme amounts of ADHD. Anyways, let's go save the princess. Heading back to the castle, we find that Zelda is not located in the dungeon. They must have her on a higher floor. Only the most logical conclusions here on Stupidly Explained. As we head outside, we can find this door, which is being sealed by some type of evil magic. Thankfully, we wield the Sword of Evil's Bane and are able to dispel this barrier, which grants us access to Hyrule Castle Tower. Hyrule Castle Tower is a pretty straightforward dungeon. It's literally climb a giant tower filled to the brim with evil guards. That's all there is to this dungeon. Oh, there is this panel from Sahasrahla, which tells us that even with the Master Sword, we can't harm the wizard. We'll have to find a way to turn his evil magic against him. I'll make sure to note that down. When it comes to evil magic, return to sender. Eventually we'll get to the top of the tower, and by walking into this room, we'll come face to face with Ganon. Ganon has placed Zelda on some type of weird altar that we saw him perform weird magic on in the opening crawl. He taunts us by saying, "Aha, Link, I've been waiting for you. Hehehe." I honestly didn't know that you knew that I existed, so I'll take that as a compliment. I was hoping I could make Zelda vanish in front of your eyes. Behold, the last moment of Princess Zelda. Link, do something. You have the Master Sword. You're just standing there doing nothing as he's blasting Zelda with lightning. You're literally witnessing the end of the world, which is just stop standing there and just do something, and she's gone. Ganon continues to berate us by saying, "Ho ho ho, with this the seal of the 7 wise men is at last broken." Man, if only we could have done something about that, or literally have tried anything to stop that, Link! It is now only a matter of time before evil power covers this land. Honestly, we probably deserve it at this point. After all, the legendary hero cannot defeat us, the tribe of evil, when we are armed with the power of gold. Ho ho! How much you want to bet on that? Now I must go. My planet needs me.
Aghanim then speeds off towards the curtains behind him.
The zoom spell. So now we're stuck in this room with no visible way of exiting it. I'm sure this tripped up countless gamers, but what you're supposed to do is slash at the curtains back here to reveal the way forward.
Well, okay, it tripped me up on my first playthrough.
Anyways, as we enter this new door, we once again run into Ganon, who says, "Oh, so you mean to say you would like to be totally destroyed? Well, I can make your wish come true." Yeah, sure. You know what? Make my day, Ganon. The boss fight with Ganon is pretty straightforward. He'll teleport around and shoot magic balls at you, occasionally showing off that he has and fires bolts of lightning instead. All you gotta do is use your Master Sword to deflect his magic balls back to him to cause damage. Why is this a trend in this game? And if you want to cause emotional damage, you can use the bug catching net to deflect the magic as well. Just be careful about those magic blue balls, as they'll split when they get hit. Eventually you'll do enough damage to Ganon where he will say, "Grrr, well met, like the true hero that you are." What in the name of the king does that even mean? But I am not ready to admit defeat yet. I will draw you into the dark world. He then spins around really fast, and this somehow pulls both of you into the dark world. Well, looks like this journey is just getting started. When you first arrive in the dark world, you receive a telepathic message from Sahasrahla. He tells you the place where you now stand was the Golden Land, but evil power turned it into the Dark World. I swear I cannot remember how I chose to do his voice. The wizard has broken the wise men's seal and opened a gate to link the worlds at Hyrule Castle. Wasn't that the whole thing we were trying to prevent?
We failed, men. Negatari! You call that a loss? I've crapped bigger losses than that.
However, Sahasrahla tells us that all is not lost. In order to save this half the world, the light world, you must win back the golden power. Oh, is that all? All I gotta do is win back the thing that a literal war was fought over. Is there anything else I can get while I'm out? Eggs, milk, a reminder that I'm canonically a child? You must rescue the 7 maidens who Ganon sent to the Dark World. As members of the bloodline of the 7 wise men, they have power that will surely help you. Why is this the first thing you've been confident about? The maidens are locked in hidden dungeons full of evil creatures and dangerous traps. Oh, so it should be a walk through the park to save them, then. You know, Jurassic Park.
I knew I'd need the rest of that Jurassic Park clip someday.
The Palace of Darkness should be your first goal in this world. Suppose my goals of creating my own game are going to have to be delayed once again. Thanks, Sahasrahla. Link, I can rely only on you. That's a real unfortunate situation you found yourself in. Please make this old man's wishes come true, I beg you. Well, since you asked nicely, I guess I can save the world for you. He then fully heals us. Aw, that was nice. You didn't have to do that. Anyways, we are currently sitting on top of the Pyramid of Power. You can see the tower that we took note of off in the far distance. I know that someone mentions it at some point in time, but the Pyramid of Power is where the Triforce used to lie back when the Dark World was the Sacred Realm. It has now become our default respawn point. Quite the demotion, if you ask me. Anyways, we've been given the task to rescue the maidens. Looking at our map, we can see that we're supposed to go to the area that is parallel to the Eastern Palace in the Light World. The Dark World and the Light World are like mirror images of one another, with the Dark World being the far more spookier than its counterpart. You should take note of landmarks in both locations, as you are able to use the magic mirror to reach locations that are normally inaccessible in the Light World. This won't actually come up for some time, I'm just noting it for those of you that are playing along and are ahead of me. Anyways, before we head on over to the Palace of Darkness, boy that seemed wrong to say, make sure to grab this heart container, which gives us another full heart. There's not a whole lot else we can do in the Dark World at the moment, as most of our paths are blocked by these weird poles, so we might as well take on the dungeon. As we approach the Palace of Darkness, we find what seems to be an elaborate maze. Instead of deciding to explore the labyrinth, I wandered off and found this cave, and inside the cave I found a bird. He says he'll tell us a story if we pay him some rupees. Man, I miss the Light World, where people would just give us random lore drops without the need for compensation. Giving the bird his money, he tells us, "They say there is a tiny circle of rocks in the lake at the source of the river. I don't know what will happen, but it might be fun to throw something in it." I'll take your word for it. Heading back to the palace grounds, we attempt to make our way through the hedge maze. You'd think that these arrows would help, but they kinda don't. Anyways, as we walk through the maze, we will eventually gain a monkey companion, who tells us that they love money and they want us to give them money. Believe it or not, your entire quest hinges on giving this monkey some money. So I give the monkey, who is named Kiki, 10 rupees, and he decides to follow us. If you get hurt at any point in time, Kiki will abandon you and you'll have to go collect him again. Why is Kiki so important? Well, when you get to the entrance of the dungeon, Kiki will say, "Give me 100 rupees and I will open the entrance for you." You have to pay this monkey 100 rupees. There is no other way of opening the entrance to the first Dark World dungeon. So after giving in to this obvious tourist scam, Kiki jumps on top of the palace, does something, and the door appears for the Dark Palace. The Dark Palace is the twisted counterpart of the Eastern Palace. Look, they even have similar entrances. How neat. However, the Dark Palace is far more complicated. It is amazing to me how complex the Dark Palace is, especially since this is supposed to be our introduction to Dark World dungeons. Ah yes, make sure you blow up this bridge so that you can drop beneath to find the big key. That's definitely a thought that would have gone through my mind while playing this game. You can also teleport into a room where you can find a telepathy tile. Except instead of it being Sahasrahla, this time it's Princess Zelda. She tells us that she is locked up on Turtle Rock on Death Mountain. Spoilers? I know you are doing your best, but please hurry. Zelda, I just got into the Dark World. It's gonna take me some time. Man, women, am I right? As we explore further into the dungeon, we can find the big chest, but there doesn't seem to be a way to get to it. But as we explore this dark maze, we can find a crack in the wall that lines up with the big chest. Bombing this wall because it just feels right reveals a passageway to get to the big chest. Inside the big chest, we find the magic hammer. The magic hammer is an awesome tool as it gives you yet another attack option on top of a way to get rid of these weird whack-a-mole looking blocks. Also, you can use it to pound on other things too. Don't pretend like I'm the only person that would have pointed that out. Anyways, after shooting the statue in the eye in order to bend the laws of reality, we can eventually come to the boss chamber. And the boss of this dungeon is Helmasaur King. Helmasaur King is a pretty easy boss. Just use your new handy hammer to bash his face in. And like always, dodge his balls of fire and his tail. That's new. Eventually his mask breaks off, revealing a giant green gem on his forehead. Gee, I wonder what his weak point is. Believe it or not, so long as you either swipe or shoot this gemstone, you will do damage to him. And when you've done enough damage to him, he starts to glow, which will eventually cause him to explode, starting from his tail. Yikes, that seems painful. Anyways, he drops a heart container. Be sure to grab it as a crystal appears. Picking up the crystal reveals that a maiden is living inside of it. How are you breathing in there? Anyways, she says, "Link, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you." It was nothing, all in a day's work. She then says something that feels like it should be a far bigger reveal. "This world used to be the Golden Land where the Triforce was hidden, but because Ganon, the boss of the thieves, wished it, the world was transformed." Ah yes, well thankfully that was a long time ago, and presumably Ganon is no longer around. I'm sure he's intending to conquer even our light world after building his power here. This is the reveal that Ganon is the main antagonist of this game, and the game itself barely treats it like a big surprise. So not only is Ganon still around, he's the reason for the evil power coming from the Sacred Realm, and he's actively planning on taking over the light world. It is the first time his name is mentioned, and it's treated like any other flavor text. I feel like this could have been a very interesting twist in this game, and it possibly was back in the day, but this might just be due to the fact that I knew that Ganon was in this game before playing it, that it doesn't seem that big of a twist to me. Was it a twist to any of you back in the day? Anyways, she then says, he's trying to open a larger gate between worlds near the castle using our powers. Oh, that's also where the Pyramid of Power is located. I'm sure that location won't be used for anything like a final fight or something like that. But the gate is not open completely yet. Yeah, since Ganon isn't currently invading the Light World, I figured the gate wasn't open yet. If we 7 maidens come together, we can break the barrier around Ganon's hiding place. Huh. I wonder where that's gonna be. I will tell you where the other girls are held. I believe you will destroy Ganon. Lady, that's an awful lot of confidence to bestow on a complete stranger. But thank you for marking the other maiden's location on my map. I'm sure that'll come in handy in the future. I will return to my original form at that time. Are you saying that you're not normally a crystal? Honestly, major turnoff. Do you understand? Not this again! So as we leave the Dark Palace, or Palace of Darkness as the game insists on calling it, we find that the Dark World, or World of Darkness as the game does not insist on calling it, has truly been opened to us. We've been given the locations of the rest of the dungeons, and it's our job to decide which ones we want to tackle next, but obviously we're going to do the creative option of doing them in numerical order. However, I do recall that storytelling bird was telling us about a circle of rocks near the source of the river. We might as well go check that out. Heading up to the Dark World's river source, we do indeed find a circle of rocks in the area known as the Lake of Ill Omen. Not sure why they felt the need to name this otherwise unimportant place, but props for world building. Anyways, a nearby sign tells us, "Curses to anyone who throws something into my circle of stones." You know, just the other day I was telling my wife how much I wanted to be cursed, so I decided to throw a skull rock into the circle of rocks. This seems to cause an earthquake of some sorts, and causes a catfish to pop out. We must be really deep in the boonies now. The catfish says, "Was it you who disturbed my peaceful nap?" If I said no, would you still believe me? "I will give you this if you go away." He then gives us the Quake Medallion. The Quake Medallion allows you to harness the power of an earthquake to turn most enemies into slime and strike fear into the heart of Californians. Be careful not to use this medallion near a fault line. Or maybe we should. I wonder what would happen. Anyways, now that we have the magic hammer from the Dark Palace, we are able to pound these poles down. I was not expecting them to be squishy. And this gives us more places to explore in the Dark World. I should mention that you can practically get over 3/4 of the remaining items in the game right now, but I'm going to try to keep up with my grabbing things in a narrative way and hope that I don't completely lose the plot on some of the items. Anyways, as we pass by the area where our home would be in the Light World, we find out that there is some type of bomb shop inside. Our evil counterparts are selling explosives out of our house. Yep, that pretty much checks out. Although I cannot for the life of me find this information in the game, I will note that this bomb keeper is supposedly working on a super bomb of some kind. We'll have to check in on that later. Exploring the area near our house, we find a strange little alcove area. Due to my photographic memory that I definitely have, I remember that this area of the map in the Light World is normally inaccessible. I wonder what happens if we use the magic mirror to travel to the Light World here. Oh, neat! We can find a cave, inside of which we can find a piece of heart. How handy! Or hardy, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, as we continue down the road to find the dark variant of Kakariko Village, we find that we can't get there as our path is blocked by heavy black rocks. Dang, black rock ruining all my fun. Well, thankfully we can find this little digging mini-game. Even though you have to pay 80 rupees to participate in the game, there's a pretty good chance that you'll wind up making more through the process. And if you're extra lucky, one of the things you can dig up is another piece of heart. Heading back to our dark house, we can notice an intro into a grotto. Given its position, this is where the Flute Boy's grotto is in the Light World. Why don't we investigate what's inside? In the grotto, we can find a sad-looking creature sitting on a stump. He tells us, "After wandering into this world, I turned into this shape. I enjoyed playing the flute in the original world." Oh, this creature is the Flute Boy. How did you wind up in the Dark World by playing a flute on a stump? There was a small grove where many animals gathered. I want to see that place again. Oof, I don't know about that, kid. So far I've only been able to find a way out of the Dark World by looking into a magic mirror that a mountain man gave me. Boy, this game gives me a bunch of sentences I didn't think I would ever say that would accurately describe my situation. The Flute Boy continues on by saying, "I buried my flute there with some flower seeds. Will you try to find it for me?" I mean, I guess I can do that for you. Don't have much else going on at the moment. Other than, trying to save the world, but who cares about that? He thanks us and tells us that he'll lend us his shovel. Oh, wonderful. Now we gotta head back to the light world and start digging up the flowers in the grove. Man, that's a lot of flowers. Eventually, after digging up every flower spot, it's always the last one. Every time. We can find the flute. I don't know about you, but that kinda looks like an ocarina to me. Geez, all that effort better be worth it. Heading back to the Dark World, we present the flute boy with his flute, and he tells us, "Thank you, Link, but it looks like I can't play my flute anymore. Please take it." Oh, thanks, I guess? If by chance you go to the village I lived in, please give it to a tired old man you will find there. I wasn't expecting this, as it sounds like you're giving me your last will and testament, and that would be pretty dark for a kid's game in the early 90s. Well, my mind is getting hazy. Please let me hear the sound of the flute one last time. Oh, no. Well, we honor his wish and play his flute for him. He then transforms into a tree. What in the tone shift just happened? Anyways, we should honor the flute boy's last wish and give the flute to his dad, who, as we remember, is currently drinking his sorrows away at a pub. Well, might as well let him know that his son is dead, or is currently a tree. I don't know, which one would be worse? If we hand him the flute, he says, "Oh, this is my son's flute. Did you meet my son? Where is he? Is he alright?" Well, solid as ever. He then says, "Oh, I see. Well, I can tell what you want to say by the look in your eyes." Don't do this to me, man. I've stayed strong so far, but father-son relationships are my kryptonite. Would you keep the flute? And will you play its sweet melody for the bird in the village square? I beg of you, please. Odd request, but given the circumstances, I can do that for you. My son would probably want it this way, but still, I wish I could see him once more. Call your parents, people. You never know when will be the day when you no longer can. Anyways, let's play the song for the Weathercock, yes, that is its name, in the center of town. This causes a duck to burst forth from the Weathercock, and this gives you a form of fast travel around the light world. Really? That emotional gut punch is how we get the ability to move around the map more freely? Man, 90s Nintendo was not messing around. Anyways, after giving myself a moment to dry my tears, it really is kind of neat that we can move around the map so freely now. Now I can visit my friends on top of Death Mountain in the Dark World in half the amount of time. Oh shoot, I slipped and fell. Well, might as well check out this cave. It looks like we can get further inside by smacking these moles down, but the whole cave is filled with spikes. We might want to come check this out later when we have some way of avoiding damage. Heading back to Kakariko, we take notice that there are quite a bit of places where we can use our hammer to drive down pegs, including this spot near the blacksmiths, which gives us the opportunity to check out what's in this well. At the bottom of the well, we can find a demonic altar. What in the world is up with people hiding sketchy stuff in wells in this village? Anyways, what else are you supposed to do with a magic altar besides sprinkle magic powder on it? Doing so causes an imp-like creature to appear who says to us, "Hey, blast you for waking me from my deep, dark sleep. I mean, thanks a lot, sir." Oh, great. A bipolar demon. That's certainly not unsettling. "But now I will get my revenge on you. Get ready for it. Is that okay with you, sir?" If I said no, would you still? He then blasts me with lightning. Warn a guy next time, will you? Hehehe, I laugh at your misfortune. Now your magic power will drop by 1/2. So you have made it so that my magic will last twice as long. Isn't that a good thing? Congratulations. Now do your best, even though I'm sure it won't be enough. Have a nice day. See you. He then disappears in a puff of smoke. Thank you. Anyways, we should probably get back to our main goal of rescuing the maidens. The one that's labeled 2 seems to be in the Dark World equivalent of the swamp in the Light World. And it's also a swamp in the Dark World. Guess you can't get more depressing than a swamp. Anyways, heading on over to where the second dungeon should be. You know, this might be my ADHD talking, but I kinda want to check out what the Dark World variant of the desert would be. Why don't we go take a walk down that path? Aww, it's a dead end. Guess we'll have to figure out some other way to get to that area. But also, this could be my photographic memory playing tricks on me, but I'm fairly certain this area is on top of a cliff in the light world. Aha! It is. I knew it. Checking out the top of this cliff, we can find another stone tablet. This one says if you have the Master Sword, we'll give you the magic of Bombos. Well, thankfully I have the Master Sword, so it gives me the Bombos Medallion. The Bombos Medallion is the most powerful medallion and is the only one that isn't required to get. It is a literal screen nuke. That is the best way to describe it. Anyways, let's head back to the second dungeon, the entrance of which seems to line up with that weird building in the light world. This is the Swamp Palace. Upon entering the Swamp Palace, we can't get anywhere as this hallway leads nowhere and we can't reach these stairs. We can, however, find a telepathy tile where Sahasrarla speaks to us once again. He says objects exist simultaneously in both worlds with similar shapes. If the form of a thing changes, it will affect the shape of its twin in the other world. That gives me an idea. Hopping over to the light world, we can pull this lever. Oh shoot, that was the wrong one. Ignore this, ignore this, ignore this! What I meant to say was pulling this lever causes the water to drain in the light world. I wonder what it does in the dark world. Ah, look, the water drained here as well, which I bet means that, yes, the water has risen in the dark world, which means we can continue our journey. The Swamp Palace is really well designed. When you first enter this hub room, you find the big chest just standing resolute in the middle of it. Looks like we're going to have to explore around to find the big key. There does seem to be a few platforms that we can't get to yet, so we have a couple of options for moving forward. There are just so many fun puzzles in this dungeon, and they really play around with 3D space in a 2D game. Eventually, we can find the big key by falling down this hole. Don't fall down the other hole, otherwise you only get 20 rupees. And using the big key, we can open the big chest, and this one gives us a personal favorite item of mine, the hook shot. The hook shot allows you to grab onto other objects and pull yourself towards them. It's extremely versatile in use and allows us to get further into this dungeon. Eventually we'll get to this room, which is filled with a bunch of waterfalls, and we decide that actually waterfalls are just a figment of our imagination and walk straight through one. And after swimming through this indoor lazy river, we will eventually come to the boss chamber. The boss of the Swamp Palace is Argus. If I could roll my R's, I'd do it to emphasize the second R in his name. Argus is surrounded by Argi. All you gotta do is pull them off using your hook shot and destroy them one by one. Once you've destroyed all the Argi, Argus will jump towards the ceiling and come crashing back down. He then zigzags all across the room. You can hit him with your sword, but just hit him with your ice rod. It's still not required, it's just far more effective. Don't worry, I'll let you know when it's required, I haven't forgotten it. Eventually, after hitting him enough times, Argus says, "Arg," I assume, and then dies. Let's make sure to pick up this heart container, and then pick up the second crystal. The second maiden, or swamp maiden if you prefer, tells us that, "Link, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you." Boy, that sounds awfully familiar. The Triforce will grant the wishes of whoever touches it as long as that person lives. That's 100% been retconned, but I'll allow it for now. This is why it was hidden in the Golden Land. Only a few knew of its location. Sure. But at some point, that knowledge was lost. Yeah, that tracks. The person who rediscovered the Golden Land was Ganondorf, the evil thief. Oh, we're name-dropping Ganondorf in A Link to the Past. That's neat. Ganondorf is Ganon's, let's call it human form. For several spoilery reasons, I'm only going to try to confirm or deny things that this game brings up about Ganondorf. Well, remember, you have magical powers, which only the hero can make the most of. Is that what we're calling it? There are some other magical warping points, like the one you saw on Death Mountain. Oh, neat. We're going to have to keep an eye out for them. I say, like as if I don't know the precise location of each of them. You are the only one who can destroy Ganondorf the Thief. No, Ganon, the evil king of darkness. Well, don't I feel special? Only I can vanquish the literal devil of this world. I don't think Sunday school properly equipped me for this. As we arrive back in the overworld, let's take a minute to plot out where those teleportation pads are in the light world. Mainly because I have no idea when else I would be able to point this out. Man, the light world is just so much more dangerous than I remember. Anyways, there's the one on top of Death Mountain. This one, which is south of the Eastern Palace. There's this one in the northwest corner of the swamp. This one, which is located near the Lost Woods. Oh, and if you pass through Hyrule Castle's gate, it also brings you to the Dark World. There are other warp points, but we can't get to them yet. Now that the obligatory montage is done, let's head towards the next dungeon. Looking at our map in the Dark World, we can see that the next dungeon seems to be in the location that's parallel to the Lost Woods. We might as well head in that direction. Note, we can get there by using the warp tile near the Lost Woods, but that's boring. This way we can use our hookshot to grapple across the river. Whee! Walking towards the dungeon, we find the Dark World's equivalent of the graveyard, the Ghostly Garden. Which, I'm just realizing the graveyard hasn't come up until right at this moment. That's what I get for writing these on a weekly schedule. Next, you're going to tell me that I haven't mentioned that if you attack cuckoos, that they'll eventually gang up on you and murk you on sight. Wait, I haven't? Anyways, exploring the Ghostly Gardens, we can find this ledge we can climb up. Swapping over to the Light World, we find ourselves on top of a normally inaccessible cliff. Inside the cave, we can find a piece of heart, because what else were we going to find? On the outside of the cave, we can notice a grave that's surrounded by a bunch of black rocks. Well, that's not going to stop us from checking this thing out. Heading back to the Dark World, we can head on over to the area that is parallel to the grave and warp on back to get through those pesky black rocks. By slamming into the grave with the Pegasus boots, we cause it to open up. And inside of this grave, we can find the Magic Cape. The Magic Cape can turn us invisible, where we become invulnerable to damage at the cost of using our cursed magic. That's a nice trade-off. Anyways, continuing down the path towards the third dungeon, we eventually come to a cave that is parallel to the Light World Sanctuary. I am so curious as to what's inside of here. Inside the cave, we find an octopus. I don't know what I was expecting, but that was definitely not it. The octopus says he'll tell us a story if we pay him. You know, some of us tell stories for free. I can't wait for this line to age poorly. Anyways, after giving in to his extortion, he tells us that he saw an incredible beauty inside of the pyramid. But someone sealed the door and we won't be able to open the door with a standard issue bomb. Guess we'll have to check into that further if we ever get our hands on some more serious explosives. As we continue on our way, we eventually see a piece of heart sitting on top of a cliff. Going through the cave to get it, we eventually get blocked by a bumper. Let me through! Let me through! I need that piece to get another heart! Eventually I remember that we just got ourselves a cape that allows us to pass through objects. So I don my cape and hey, the bumper can't bump us no more. Man, the magic cape truly makes us immune to damage. Oh wait a minute, I just remember that cave on top of Death Mountain in the Dark World. I bet you that the magic cape will let us walk across these spikes with ease, and by golly, wouldn't you know it, I'm right. Eventually we have to lift a giant block, not certain how we're doing this while being invisible and presumably barely tangible, but it gives us access to a chest. And inside the chest is the Cane of Birna. When you use the Cane of Birna, it creates a protective ring around you which does damage to enemies that touch you. 2 protective items in one game, what a bargain. Well, might as well get out of this cave now and oh shoot, out of magic. This is going to hurt. Ow, 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 oh jeez, ow, ow, oh man, ugh. Why didn't I get a medicine of magic? Ah! Anyways, now that we're done with that painful experience, let's head on back to where we were at and say, isn't this where the lumberjacks normally are in the Light World? Why don't we go pay them a visit? Unfortunately, the lumberjacks don't seem to be around. Guess they must have headed off into the Lost Woods since the fog is gone. Oh well, guess we'll have to catch up with them later. What's up with this tree? This was the tree the lumberjacks were cutting down, but it's a weird color. I don't like it. I'm going to bash into it. Well, that's convenient. Falling into this hole, we can find yet another heart piece. Alright, I think I've spent enough time goofing off, and this script is by far the most schizophrenic one that I've written thus far, but how else am I supposed to get all these lovely items and get closer to completion? I will be complete! Anyways, let's tackle the next dungeon. Skull Woods. Skull Woods is interesting, as arguably the entire area is one large dungeon. There are 3 different sections of this dungeon that are spread out amongst the actual Skull Woods. It's such a cool concept that's very underutilized by the series, but boy does it make it far more complicated to even attempt to explain this place. Just be on the lookout for rabbit beams, as they will turn you back into a rabbit. Temporarily. Do a little bunny dance, do. And be on the lookout for wall masters, or as I correctly called them in the original Legend of Zelda, pervert hands. If they grab you with their grubby dirty fingers, they'll pull you to the dungeon's entrance. How in the world do they know where the entrance is in this place? Eventually, you'll somehow find the big key. I honestly have no idea how to accurately describe it without just turning this video into a walkthrough. And after you've blown a whole section of wall away, you can get the big chest, which contains the fire rod. The fire rod is kind of like the ice rod, but this one shoots fire. Surprisingly enough. Some things like the Gibdo here are especially weak to fire. It gives me pleasure to see you burn. This may seem cruel, but if you think that, you haven't played the Wind Waker. Anyways, with the fire rod, we are able to burn away this insect, which leads us to the final half of the dungeon, which involves a maze where we can't see half of it, a maze that keeps changing its layout and having to light torches. Eventually, we fall down a hole and come face to face with Mothula. Mothula sucks. Mothula can fire out beams that will hurt you, and also the floor is moving, and the entire room is filled with blade traps. You can try to hurt Mothula with your sword if you want to straight up die. Your best option is to try to hurt them with the fire rod, but weirdly enough it will fall to 4 strikes from the magic hammer. You can use the magic cape to attack this insect, but then you're left with having to stab it, as you can't use your fire rod and magic cape at the same time. It has to be called Mothra in Japan, right? No, it's called Gomasu? Even your name is disappointing. Eventually we hit Mothula enough to burn it to a crisp. It drops a heart container and another crystal. Inside the crystal is the third maiden, who tells us, "Link, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you." Okay, yeah, they all say that. Good to know. Do you know the prophecy of the Great Cataclysm? Yeah, it was something about holding a book in the desert. This is the way I heard it. Oh, so there was more to the Great Cataclysm. Can't trust you for anything, Agana. I wonder how many people even know who I'm talking about right now. If a person who has an evil heart gets the Triforce, a hero is destined to appear, and he alone must face the person who began the Great Cataclysm. That's a neat way of saying that I have to clean up other people's messes. If the evil one destroys the hero, nothing can save the world from his wicked reign. So, in other words, if I fail at this impossible task, everybody's going to blame me. Wonderful. Only a person of the Knights of Hyrule who protected the royalty of Hylia can become the hero. That's not true, but okay. You are of the bloodline, aren't you? So I have been told. Wouldn't it be amazing if they got the wrong guy and it turns out that the Bugnet boy was supposed to be the hero all along? Then you must rescue Zelda without fail. I'll be honest with you, I make no guarantees. Well, now that we're done with Skull Woods, we might as well move on to the next dungeon. Oh, but Westy, isn't there like a laundry list of stuff we need to do first? No, not really. We can just head on over to the next dungeon, which is located in the Dark World equivalent of Kakariko Village. You know, I've been really curious as to what this place is, and I'm looking forward to finally getting there. Oi, what a dump. What do you think, Mr. Tree? Yeah, that seems fair. This is the Village of Outcasts. People without rupees are not welcome here. Well, thankfully I have max cash, so I should be good to go. Ah, so that's why they wanted me to have money. So they could steal it. Don't know what I was expecting from a town of thieves. Anyways, we can find this chess minigame, pay 30 rupees, and you get to open 2 chests. And of course, at random, one of them has a piece of heart. Otherwise, the Village of Outcasts is pretty unremarkable. There's a frog being held captive by a bunch of black skulls, but that's not very interesting. We might as well look for the dungeon, and I'm gonna guess the entrance of the dungeon is connected to this statue. Just call it a gamer's hunch. Are there still people who honestly believe that I haven't played and mastered these games? Anyways, let's enter the dungeon. Thieves Town. Westy, isn't it called Gargoyle's Domain? No, it is not. Gargoyle's Domain was mentioned once in an Ocarina of Time player's guide, and somehow became an alternate name for this place. Anyways, Thieves Town is a dungeon. It's really kind of plain Jane. Not to say that it's bad or anything, it's just here. You can get the map, compass, and big key within 5 minutes of entering Thieves Town, which means we can head straight to the boss chamber. Wow, short video this week. Upon entering the boss chamber, we can find that no one is here. Well, that's anticlimactic. Suppose we should check out the rest of the dungeon, because what else are we gonna do? Anyways, in the basement of the dungeon, we can find the maiden locked up in some sort of jail cell. Weird, why aren't you locked up in a crystal like the rest? Anyway, she says, "Oh, thank you very much." I'm not sure why I feel the need to give her a weird voice. Oh! But let's roll with it. "You saved my life. Please take me outside." Well, if you insist. Attempting to bring her outside, she tells us, wait a minute. Please don't go this way." Well, how else are we supposed to get outside? Let's just head on out of here and get this over with. Stepping outside, we notice that the maiden is no longer following us. What in the Hyrule? Let's go recollect her, I guess. Maybe there's some other way we're supposed to take her out of this dungeon? Checking out some of the other rooms down here, we find a big chest surrounded by those weird mole tiles. Also, the tiles fall away. Oh no, now I'm trapped. Might as well open the chest and get the item of this dungeon, the Titan's Mitt. The Titan's Mitt allows us to lift those heavy black rocks, which won't come up once in this dungeon. And don't bring up those big blocks, we can lift them without the Titan's Mitt, although it really feels like we shouldn't be able to. Anyways, let's hookshot out of here. I hate it here. I can't figure out why the maiden doesn't want to leave the dungeon with me. I have to be missing something. Checking out the upper floor, which the maiden also does not follow us to. Weird. We can find this telepathic panel where Zelda speaks to us once again. She tells us not to be deceived by the magic of Blind the Thief. Blind the Thief. Why does that name seem familiar? Oh wait, I remember that odd building in Kakariko that was next to Sahasrarla's house. It was a former thief hideout. And the leader of that thief gang was named Blind, and that guy named Blind hated bright lights. Is Zelda trying to tell us that Blind is disguising himself as the maiden? Would explain why he doesn't like going outside, not liking light and all. Why is the game choosing now of all times to be vague? Anyways, exploring more of the upper floor, we can find this room with a window letting in some light. Fun fact, you can see this part of the dungeon in the Village of Outcasts. Figured I'd mention it before I get thousands of comments pointing it out, although those do tend to help us in the algorithm. You know what? Comment away, people. See if I care. We should blow this floor up to let in some more natural light into the dungeon. Oh look, it let in some light into the boss chamber. That gives me an idea. Oh maiden, I have something to show you. Bringing the false maiden to the boss chamber and dragging her into the light, she says, "Gaia, too bright." She then transforms into the monstrous Blind the Thief. Ooh, I'm glad that we were warned about this. Blind the Thief is a pretty straightforward boss. All you gotta do is stab him in the head. Ugh, reminds me of Zelda 2. Eventually you'll hit the head enough and the head will start flying around on its own and it keeps attacking you! And this boss just becomes a bullet hell after a while. Dodge, 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 dodge. Children were expected to beat this? If you want, you can absolutely embarrass this boss by using the Cane of Birna. Anyways, after hitting him enough times, you'll defeat Blind the Thief and he'll drop a heart container in the crystal which holds the actual maiden. On top of the thing that they all say, she says, as the wise men sealed the way to the Dark World, the Knights of Hyrule defended them from attacks of evil monsters. Oh, you don't say. They also guarded the wise men on top of Hylian royalty. Guess we're running out of cool new lore drops this far into the game. I heard that the knights were nearly wiped out in that battle. Yeah, that was also revealed to us all the way back in the aftermath of the Eastern Palace. You know, the first dungeon. You are perhaps the last one to carry on the bloodline of the knights. Oh, wow, what a reveal. Definitely haven't heard that one yet. It is ironic that the last one in the line has the potential to become the hero of legend. Is it, though? I'm fairly certain that it was literally the last person who told us that only descendants of the knights could become the hero. And she was wrong with that statement. Surely you can destroy Ganon. Thanks for literally adding nothing to this conversation. I almost preferred it when you were blind. Boy, that would make no sense out of context. Now that we're done with Thieves Town, we can explore some new areas thanks to the Titan's Mitt. It turns out that black rock can no longer keep me down. Yes, I'm talking about the company. What did you think I was talking about? Anyways, we can free this frog from a weird enclosure, and he says to us, "Ribbit, Ribbit, your body did not change. You are not just an ordinary guy, are you?" I mean, most people find me quite odd, if that's what you're getting at. I used to live in Kakariko. I wonder what my partner is doing there without me. If I remember correctly, I'm fairly certain that he's crying that you're not there. Ribbit, I have a request of you. Please take me to my partner. Ooh, I don't know about that. See, there was this flute kid in the woods, and I wasn't able to take him from the dark world to the light world, and he turned into a tree because of that. It would be pretty weird to learn at this point that I can bring people from the dark world to the light world, but I'll give it a shot to satisfy your curiosity. Oh, I can bring people to the light world. Oof. Please no one tell Flute Kid's dad about this. Anyways, we bring the dwarven blacksmith back to his friend, and he says, "Oh, happy days are here again. You found my partner. We are very happy now." Ah, don't mention it. Especially to the Flute Kid's dad. I cannot stress that enough. Drop by here again. At that time, we will temper your sword perfectly. Stronger sword, you say? Well, no reason to turn that down. Literally walking outside and back inside counts as time passing, so we ask them to temper our sword. Unfortunately, this means that we must temporarily go without our sword. I feel oddly naked without it. We might as well pass the time by doing some exploring in the Dark World. Heading to the area parallel to the blacksmiths, we can lift these heavy black rocks and find a bunch of poles sticking out of the ground. I am compelled to drive them all down with my hammer. After doing so, a magic staircase appears, and we can find a piece of heart. Checking out the Dark World's blacksmith's house, it's in ruins, but there is a treasure chest inside. Examining the treasure chest reveals that it's locked, and the key is locked inside. Well, that's certainly inconvenient. Might as well take it with us in case we run into someone who can lockpick. Since we have some free time, we might as well check out the location for the next dungeon. It seems to be in the Dark World equivalent of Lake Hylia. Let's head on over there. There seems to be a wall around the entrance to this place. Maybe if we explore around, we can find some clues on how to get inside. Going into this cave, which is parallel to the cave we got the ice rod in, which, believe it or not, is still not necessary yet, we can find this hand who tells us that he will tell us a story. Let me guess, for 20 rupees? You Dark World inhabitants are becoming a bit predictable. He tells us that he used to be a thief in the Light World. Boy, there seems to be a lot of thieves in this game. He says that some of my fellow thieves went into hiding because they were afraid of being caught. Yeah, that sounds bad. I could see how becoming a monster in a hellish dystopian landscape was a better alternative. One of them was a master locksmith, but now he is hiding the fact that he was a thief. Master locksmith, you say? You wouldn't happen to know where he is, would you? I might be willing to pay by pretending to be a strange middle-aged guy. Ah yes, I should have known that you would have just immediately told me. I don't know why I was expecting to have to pay more for this information. You weren't much of a thief in the Light World, were you? I wonder if the normal middle-aged guy who's hanging out at the entrance to the desert, who a different thief told us is where a former thief is hanging out, would know anything about this master locksmith. Might as well go ask him. We talked to the guy and he says, I heard that you know I used to be a thief, right? Honestly, I'd be lying if I said I didn't put it together when we first met you, but I'll act surprised. What? No way! Well, I'll open a chest for you. Will you keep it a secret from everyone? Ah, that's so close to a reference. He opens the chest for us, and inside the chest is the fourth and final bottle. Thus brings an end to the thief arc. What a rousing tale. With that out of the way, we might as well go check on how our sword is doing. It's been a pain walking around not being able to fight enemies. The blacksmiths say, your sword is tempered up, now hold it, and they hand us the tempered sword. The tempered sword, on top of being a sick red color, is twice as powerful as the base master sword. Unfortunately, the blacksmiths are unable to make the sword any stronger. Well, considering the fact that I'm like 99% certain that the master sword is already supposed to be one of, if not the strongest sword in existence, I'm impressed you were able to improve it in the first place. Well, now that we have our sword back, let's take another swing at finding a way inside the 5th Dark World dungeon. Can't seem to find anything in the Dark World. Maybe the Light World has some answers for us. Oh, hey, look, a piece of heart. That's convenient. That also gives us another full heart container. That's radical. Anyways, near the cave where the fairy who takes all of our money in exchange for happiness is this black rock. Well, those are no longer concerning to us. Let's lift it up and hey, look, a teleportation pad. And this teleportation pad should bring us directly inside of the walls and allow us to enter the dungeon. Ice Palace. Ice Palace is the worst. It is an incredibly complicated dungeon that has ice physics and way too many rooms. Slip, slide around. I pity people that find this fun. The ice physics can be so bad that it makes it difficult to climb up and down stairs. And did I mention that this place is complicated? Because holy mother of all that is holy is this place complicated. Gotta love that Sahasrarla's warning in here is, hey, be sure to bring magic potions with you, otherwise just give up. The way that these switch blocks can impede your progress in this dungeon is just infuriating. This is the first time I'm mentioning the switch blocks because they just haven't been interesting enough to talk about, but now they are because of just how they've been implemented in this dungeon. If you can find the big key in this place, you can open the big chest after having to blow a hole in the floor in a very non-obvious spot, which gives you the blue mail. The blue mail decreases damage done to you by 1/2. A nice reward for such a painful palace. At some point in time, you gotta push this block down so that you can press a switch below. I'm mainly pointing this out because of all the bowl you have to go through to push down this stupid block, and this will eventually get us to the boss of Ice Palace, Cold Stare. Cold Stare looks like Krakow from Kirby and is frozen in ice. You have to thaw it out, either by using the fire rod, or if you don't have patience, the Bombos medallion. Cold Stare then splits into 3, and they begin to dart around the room. There are a variety of options to ending this one-eyed monstrosity, but obviously the fire rod is your best option. Hope you brought that magic potion I mentioned earlier, or medicine of magic if you want to be more accurate. Eventually you'll defeat all 3 Cold Stares and get a heart container from the ordeal and another crystal. Oh man, I wonder what's going to be in this crystal. Oh wow, it's a maiden. This maiden actually provides us better information as compared to the last one. She says they say the Hylia people controlled mysterious powers, as did the 7 wise men. Is that what we're calling it? But the blood of the Hylia has become thin over time. Okay, wait, are we Hylians or are we not? This game has been pretty vague on that front. We who carry the blood of the 7 wise men do not possess strong power anymore either. You know, we only hold the power to completely rip open portals to other dimensions. Our powers will increase if we mix the courage of the knights with the wisdom of the wise men. Ah, I see what you did there. Only a short time remains until the gate at the castle linking the worlds opens completely. Whoa, geez, I better stop messing around then and stop looking for stray pieces of heart. Well, who am I kidding? I will be complete! If you defeat Ganon, this world will vanish and the Triforce will wait for a new holder. Whoa. You want to explain what you mean by vanish? Because it sounds like if I complete my quest, I'll be ending the world. I believe in you. Good luck. No, you get back here and explain yourself now. It would be better and more accurate if it stated that our actions would restore the Dark World to its former glory, and this would make all things right. Not that it would outright vanish. I will not be held responsible for ending an entire world thanks to vague 90s translations. With the Ice Palace cleared out, it looks like we're down to our last couple of maidens. It looks like the next one is in the Dark World equivalent of the desert, but as we remember from earlier, we can't get there from the Dark World. Maybe there's something in the desert that we missed. Heading over there, using our trusty flute, it drops us off on top of a cliff with 2 black rocks. Lifting up one of them will reveal a teleportation panel, which will bring us to the Dark World equivalent of the desert. Yeah, that tracks. The Dark World equivalent of the desert seems to be a swamp. Ah yes, the dark equivalent of a barren, dry, arid area is a lush, flooded forest. That seems more cruel than parallel. This swamp always has a raging storm. It has a ton of enemies. Feel free to use the screen nukes to clear them out. Ah, ghost! Man, if I would have known this place was haunted, I would have brought more proton packs. Checking out the swamp, we can find this thicket building, and it contains a heart container, so long as you can do a simple block push puzzle. We can also find this platform, which has this symbol on it, which looks familiar, but I'm not certain where it is familiar. I'm definitely not delaying the obvious solution to this puzzle to show off how the game tells you about it. No siree, Bob. Might as well continue exploring this swamp, see if we can't find any clues. Up in the northeast corner of the swamp, we can find this little alcove. Once again, my photographic memory is firing up, as I tend to recall that this alcove is parallel to a cliff top in the light world. Might as well use our magic mirror to head on over to the light world. If we lift this rock, we can find a cave with another heart piece, but this one is being guarded by many push blocks. Just push your way through and you can receive the piece of heart. I would be amazed if you can't get it on your first try. Anyways, checking out more of the swamp, we eventually find a cave, inside of which is an insect who will tell us stories. Yeah, I know. Here's 20 rupees. Give us your wisdom, bug boy. The storytelling insect tells us that, as a matter of fact, monster magic is making it rain in the swamp. Oh no, not monster magic. That's the worst kind of magic that there is. If you can move the air with more force than the monsters, the rain may stop. Well, it's too bad we don't have the Wind Waker. It would really come in handy for this. Suppose we'll have to settle with the Ether Medallion. Oh hey look, it's that same symbol. I wonder what will happen when we use Ether on top of that symbol. Ah, that must be the entrance for the next dungeon. Misery Mire. Misery Mire sure lives up to its name. At least I'm always miserable when I have to go through this place. I mean, it's kinda cool that we have to use the hook shot to get in here, but, you know, only kinda cool. Oh boy, it's the return of the Wizrobes, my favorite enemies in the Zelda franchise. Yay. Once again, this is just a dungeon that's pretty complicated and difficult to do just a drive-by explanation of. I mean, how am I supposed to describe lighting 4 torches across 2 different rooms to open a hole in the floor in a completely different room so that you can get the big key? Even Sahasrara doesn't help much by telling us what we're supposed to do after we've already done it. Eventually we can get to the big chest by doing some acrobatics thanks to the hookshot, and we receive the item of this dungeon, the Cane of Samaria. The Cane of Samaria allows us to create a single block. Boy, this would have come in handy in the Ice Palace. And it's absolutely necessary to get through this dungeon because of this single switch in the dark basement. I feel like there's more that we could be doing with this cane. Why do I feel like I'm going to wind up regretting saying that? Anyways, this somehow gets us to the boss chamber, and the boss we will be fighting today is Vitreous, which is an eyeball surrounded by a bunch of other eyeballs. What, again? The strategy to fighting this boss is pretty complicated, so try to keep up. Okay, listen closely. The strategy is swing your sword wildly until all the little eyeballs are dead. Then do the same thing with the big eyeball. Oh, and watch out for lightning because yeah, this eyeball can shoot lightning. After this incredibly difficult boss fight, pick up the heart container and then collect the penultimate crystal. The maiden inside tells us Ganon captured us because he couldn't break the seal of the wise men with his power alone. Suppose the power of the Triforce can only get you so far. Wait, does Ganon have the Triforce? I'm inclined to say he does because of spoiler reasons, but this game keeps acting like he doesn't. I'll just mark it up as a retcon. As far as we are concerned, Ganon more than likely has the Triforce. At the very least, he has the Triforce of Power. And then using the wizard Aghanim as his pawn, he drew us into the Dark World. So it's not explained well here, but Aghanim is more like Ganon's alter ego while in the Light World. It's kind of like a projection of sorts, or like a clone. There's a term for it in the Japanese that doesn't translate into English. He then gave us to his loyal monsters, but Ganon didn't plan on your getting this far. Honestly, I didn't think I'd get this far either without more bumps in the road. Afraid I'm gonna have to give you a B- for that grammar. Now Princess Zelda is waiting for you inside of Turtle Rock. Please hurry. Oh hey, they mentioned that back in the Dark Palace. If only they bothered clarifying what Turtle Rock is, it might actually be helpful. So now that we're done with Mire, we gotta figure out where Turtle Rock is located. Looking at our map, we only have one location left marked, so logic dictates that that would most likely be where Turtle Rock is. And that area is the Dark World equivalent of Death Mountain, which is also called Death Mountain. Huh. Although technically the Light World equivalent is supposed to be Mount Hebra, but this didn't get translated over, and before you say it, no, it is not the Tower of Hebra, it is still the Tower of Hera. So we still have no idea who Hera is in the Zelda universe. Anyways, before we go looking for Turtle Rock, I've been secretly checking out my Dark World equivalent who's busy selling bombs for what I can only hope is peaceful reasons between dungeons. I don't know why, but I just don't trust my evil counterpart. So far, he's only had standard issue bombs, but now he has a Super Bomb! The Super Bomb is a big orange bomb which creates a massive explosion. Yeah, you'd be feeling that one in the morning. Just whatever you do, don't jump off a ledge, otherwise you'll have a premature detonation. I swear, babe, this has never happened to me before. So where can we use a bomb with such a payload? Why, at the Pyramid of Power, of course. Remember that crack we couldn't open earlier? Well, let's see if it'll stay shut after we drop a nuke on it. Ah, nice. Got it open and only had 70,000 fatalities as a result from the blast. Inside of the pyramid, we find a pond, and it asks if we want to throw anything into it. I remember this. I'll throw my sword in and see what happens. Suddenly, whoa, goodness, a Rubenesque woman appears and asks if we drop this. Yep, that's my sword, all right. She says that she likes an honest person, then hands us back a better sword. The Golden Sword, which is the final upgrade for the Master Sword. How in the world do they keep improving this thing? The Golden Sword is twice as strong as the Tempered Sword, making it 4 times stronger than the base Master Sword. Talk about having power in the palm of your hands. Why in the world does it state I can feel it throbbing? There is one other object that can be upgraded by the... Look, the game called her Fat Fairy, so I'm going to call her Fat Fairy. And she can upgrade the bow and arrow, which she tells us that what she's going to be giving us is something important. These are the silver arrows. To give Ganon his last moment, you definitely need them. Well, I'll try not to lose them. I know I don't quite have the figure of a fairy. What? No! Personally, I prefer bigger girls. Ganon's cruel power is to blame. You must defeat Ganon. Why in the world would Ganon waste time making a fairy obese? He is just truly evil, I guess. Anyways, we now have these silver arrows, which double the power of normal arrows and are the things that can deliver the coup de grace on Ganon. Glad I can fix that mistake from the original Legend of Zelda. Truly, I should let someone just edit my scripts. Well, might as well move on to Death Mountain. Man, it's too bad that the flute doesn't work in the Dark World. I could really use the fast travel to the mountain right now. It would be pretty weird if it turns out that we could use the flute to call the duck in the Dark World, especially considering the fact that it lives in the Light World. Anyways, we can explore more of the mountain now thanks to all the items we have acquired. We can even find more teleportation panels to the Dark World around here. Maybe if we climb up the mountain here, we could get to the 7 mark on the map. Boy, this is an odd mountain. The amount of times I need to fall to move forward is a bit concerning. Take a leap of faith, I suppose. Eventually we'll get to the top of the mountain and find a giant boulder. Lifting the boulder reveals a staircase, inside of which we find a cave, where we find a gap in the bridge. Obviously, if we use the ether medallion here, it can show us the layout of an invisible bridge, because boy have we done that so many times by now. Eventually we find ourselves on top of a plateau, which if we head over to the light world, we can find a piece of heart, the penultimate one in the game. Anyways, what were we doing? Right, looking for Turtle Rock. Continuing to explore the upper mountains in the Dark World, we can find a bunch of Lynels. It is amazing to me how much easier it is to defeat these guys compared to, well, you know. Eventually we'll stumble across that tower we first saw way back when we first got the Master Sword. But we can't seem to enter it. There seems to be some type of mystical barrier protecting it. I think I remember hearing that Ganon's hiding place is protected by a barrier, so this must be Ganon's hiding place. We'll have to come back here once we've rescued Zelda. Going to the opposite end of the mountain, we can find a rock in the shape of a turtle. Now stay with me now, but I think this might be Turtle Rock. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any way to get inside. You know what we do now, let's go check out the light world. In the light world, we can actually get on top of this plateau where there seems to be 3 pegs set up. I wonder what happens if we hit them in the shape of a triangle. Why a triangle? Do I have to explain it? Hitting the pegs in this order causes a teleportation pad to appear. Hitting them in any other order causes your dad to stop loving you. I cry every time. Re-entering the Dark World, we find a symbol similar to the one we found in Mire, but this one has the Quake Medallion symbol on it. Might as well cause an earthquake. Feel like we haven't done enough damage yet. Alright, with the entrance revealed, it's time to enter Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock is insane. In this dungeon, you need to use the Cane of Samaria to create platforms to move you around. You also have to guide their direction from time to time. Also, there are chain chomps from Mario in here, because why not? You'll eventually come to this room, which is filled with pipes, which you need to traverse in order to progress. I am playing a Zelda game, right? Anyways, in this pipe maze, you can find the big key, and the pipe maze will bring us to this room with a couple of Hokubokus. I'm mainly calling them out because I love their name, and I love setting them on fire. Going through a T intersection, you eventually come to a room filled with laser eyes. Ah, jerks, that hurt. Quickly, let's bomb this wall and head outside. You know, I bet you there's a light world ledge here. Aha, I knew it. And inside of this cave, we can find the final piece of heart. I am complete! Although I suppose I need the heart container from this dungeon before I can say that. Heading back to the Dark World, we can head inside and get the big chest, which holds the item of this dungeon, the Mire Shield. The Mire Shield is the most powerful shield, and it will block the laser eyeballs. Haha, can't hurt me with your evil stares anymore. Ah, jeez. Anyways, the rest of this dungeon is pretty straightforward until you get to this room in the dark, where you have to move a platform around in the dark and try to find some random platform so that you can open a door on the other side of the room. Don't worry, you're likely to be burned by a fire bar from Mario before that ever happens. What is with all the references to Mario in this dungeon? Is it because it's Turtle Rock? And Mario, well, he doesn't have the greatest track record with turtles. Anyways, you'll eventually come to this room, which is filled with laser eyes, but thankfully you can dash straight through them. I hate this place. And then you gotta open a chest to get another key, where you are likely to be shot in the back by a laser eye. Oh boy, a switch block maze. Thank goodness for the magic boomerang. But once you get through that maze, you are presented with one of the most ominous moments in this game. Traveling on a floating platform across a bottomless pit, which brings you straight to the boss chamber. And the boss of this monumental dungeon is Trinex. Trinex is a 3-headed turtle, which seems to be covered in hard rocks. 2 of the heads breathe ice and fire, where the ice one can make the floor slippery. Oh, bringing ice physics into the fight. Truly, you have made an enemy for life here, Trinex. Also, the middle head is able to snipe you from anywhere in the room with its patented Extendo Neck. So, how do we defeat this terrible turtle? Well, you remember the ice rod that we got all the way back after completing the Eastern Palace? Remember how I said I would point out when it would be required? Well, this is where it is required. I am not joking. Man, we've really been sitting on this one, huh? You need to use a combination of the ice and fire rods to stun the opposite heads. So for those of you that are confused on what opposites are, use the ice rod to freeze the red head and use the fire rod to incinerate the blue head. And if you don't know your colors, look, I can only help you so much. Once the head is stunned, you can swipe at it with your sword, and eventually it will cause the head to explode. Once you defeat both heads, it causes Trinex to curl up, and what do you know, he explodes. Well, that was an interesting boss fight. Oh, but it's not over yet as Trinex transforms into a snake and begins to dart around the room. You gotta take the lessons we've learned in this game thus far and attack his shiny balls. Eventually, you'll hit him enough and he'll explode, leaving behind the final heart container. At last, I'm at full power. And then the final crystal drops, and inside we find Princess Zelda. And she tells us that she appreciates us coming so far to rescue her. As I thought, you are the legendary hero. My money's still on the bug-catching boy. Ganon is waiting inside of his tower to pass through the gate linking the two worlds. Once Ganon enters the light world, it is unlikely that anyone can stop him. If that's true, then what makes you think we can stop him in the dark world? But if he stays in the closed space of this world, you can find him wherever he runs. Oh, so in the light world he'd be able to just run away from us like a sniveling little coward. But here we could bully him to death. Once again, why do we think he'll be unstoppable in the light world? Now, go to the Tower of Ganon. We will use our combined powers to break the barrier. Let's return peace to the country without fail. Do you understand? I mean, I guess so. Well, this is it. We have saved all the maidens, and now we have a new mark on our map. Which isn't super ominous or anything, but it tells us that it's time for us to head to the final act of our adventure, Ganon's Tower. When you first approach Ganon's Tower with all the maidens rescued, a crystal will burst out of your head. That seems like that should have been far more painful. Inside the crystal, Zelda states that, Link, we are going to break the barrier of Ganon's Tower with our power. Didn't even realize until I was recording this how well that rhymes. Then the other crystals come from out of nowhere and do a little dance, make a little love, and get down tonight, and this dance causes the barrier to be dispelled and somehow creates a staircase. I had no idea that the crystals were such architects. Anyways, welcome to Ganon's Tower, the final dungeon. Ganon's Tower is sort of a mix of Tower of Hera and Hyrule Castle Tower, only kicked up to an 11. You'll want to start out by heading into the basement, which is an elaborate maze of puzzle rooms and monster houses. Your main goal down here is to find the big key, which in order to get, you must face a rematch with the Armos Knights. Only this time around, the battle takes place on a slippery floor, and your silver arrows can one-shot each knight. So bizarrely, the fight is both easier and harder than before. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Am I about to get married again? Anyways, once you finish the last night, you can get your hands on the big key, and you will most likely cross paths with the big chest. And the contents of the big chest is the final item of the game, the red mail. The red mail, on top of giving Link the best palette in this game, though that might be my bias talking, makes it so that all damage done to Link is reduced down to 1/4, which we're going to need as we continue on to ascend the tower. The climb up Ganon's Tower can be pretty brutal. So many enemies, not enough sword swings to go around. You can use the Pegasus boots to jump this gap somehow to get to this fairy fountain for a bit of a respite. Just like with your first week following graduating high school, this will be one of the last moments of true relaxation for the rest of your journey. Enjoy it while it lasts. Anyways, as we continue fighting our way up the tower, we eventually run into a Landmola rematch. They fling way more rocks this time, but that's cool as our arrows can just one-shot them. We eventually run into a room with Dia de los Muertos style whiz ropes. Well, let's put an end to this fiesta and figure out where the invisible bridge is. Also, side note, this room is the worst, I hate it, and you cannot change my mind on this subject. Eventually we run into another rematch, and this time it's, oh no, not you again. Thankfully, it only takes 2 swipes to defeat Moldorm this time around. It's really neat having these rematches with the Light World bosses, as it shows just how far we've come since we began. Anyways, Ganon shows us some mercy and decides that we don't need to refight the Dark World bosses, but unfortunately we do have to deal with ice physics one last time. I'd rather do the boss rush. But we still do have one last Light World boss left to face, and as we come to the boss chamber, we come face to face once again with Aghanim. Upon seeing us once again, Aghanim says, "Ho ho, it's great that you could come all the way here, Link." As compared to what, you coming to me? Honestly, wouldn't that make things easier for you? Like you could have defeated me before I was a threat? "I'm very happy to see you again, but you'd better believe that we will not have a third meeting." Wait, what was our second meeting? "Prepare to meet your doom." Considering how well this went for you last time, I admire your confidence. So yeah, we have another fight with Aghanim, but this time he has the ability to split himself into 3 different beings, which gives us 3 times the amount of balls to knock back to him. I don't think you thought this out, friend. Wait a minute, we're not friends. Anyways, after pestering Aghanim with enough balls, it causes him to collapse, and from his corpse bursts forth a demonic pig shape that transforms into a bat. Ganon. The bat then flies off and we decide to play the flute. Which obviously does nothing, as we're in the dark world. Wait a minute, where did you come from? Anyways, we cut to the Pyramid of Power as the Ganon bat comes flying in from the tower. That must have been one heck of a flight. But he then crashes down into the Pyramid of Power, leaving a giant hole at the top. We then land on top of the pyramid thanks to the help of the duck, which... sure. You can jump in the hole if you want to, but be warned that there is little to no way of going back if you do. So, summon up your courage, go finish up any task you haven't done yet, and when the time is right, jump in to face your final fight. As we land inside of the pyramid, we are greeted by Ganon, who says,
I never imagined a boy like you could give me so much trouble. It's unbelievable that you have defeated my alter ego, Aghanim the Dark Wizard, twice.
Dude, if there's one thing that I'm good at, it's messing up plans.
But I will never give you the Triforce.
I wouldn't imagine so. You don't seem to be the accommodating type.
I will destroy you and make my wish to conquer both light and dark worlds come true without delay.
See, here, the problem is, I have a wish as well, and I'll be a desert merchant before I let another opportunity to get unlimited cheeseburgers pass me by. So, the terms have been set. Let's begin our climactic battle, King of Darkness. Ganon begins the fight by showing off by twirling his Trident of Demise between his fingers. Westy, what's the Trident of Demise? It's just Ganon's weapon. I recall reading at one point in time that it's the evil equivalent of the Master Sword, but that must have been fan canon because I cannot find that information anymore. Also, admittedly, the Trident of Demise is not its actual canon name, it's just Trident, but it's called Trident of Demise in a different game, and that's such a cooler name for it. It fits Ganon so well for reasons I can't get into. Anyways, he eventually flings his Trident at you, and then moves around like a ninja by blinking in and out of existence. All you gotta do is hit him with your sword when he is standing still. Eventually, he'll start summoning fireballs to protect himself, because it wouldn't be an honest A Link to the Past boss fight if balls weren't involved somehow. However, Ganon transforms these balls into bats and has them dive bomb after you. Just dodge them and continue hitting him when you get an opening. Eventually, he'll just drop the Trident and will teleport around the room. Each time you hit him in this state, he decides to do a bit of remodeling and causes part of the floor to disappear. Do not step on these missing tiles, or you will fall down and will be forced to start the fight over again, and that just ruins the pacing. Once the entire ring around the room is completely gone, Ganon will state,
You are doing well, lad, but can you break through this secret technique of darkness? On guard!
He then blows out the torches. Oh wow, super secret darkness technique there, Ganon. I never knew I was studying the dark arts as a kid when I blew up my birthday candles. Anyways, while the torches remain, you can't see Ganon, and he'll be able to throw fire bats at you in peace. While in this state, Ganon is completely invulnerable and cannot be harmed by anything. In order to combat this secret dark art, all you gotta do is take out your humble lamp that we got all the way back in the beginning and use it to relight the torches, which will allow us to see Ganon once again. Yes, the fire rod also works and is definitely better suited for the job, but it's less dramatic. Now that the lights are back on, we can see Ganon, and he is vulnerable to our attacks once again. Hitting him with our sword causes him to be stunned, which, if we remember from the Fat Fairy, we have to use the silver arrows on Ganon when he's in this state. Well, Ganon, this is what you get for causing a woman to gain weight.
Big mistake. Big. Huge.
It's hysterical when you realize that that reason is honestly why Ganon lost in this game. And after hitting Ganon with the silver arrow 4 times, he does something different from all other bosses and fades away. Nah, I'm just kidding you. He explodes like the rest. At long last, Ganon has been defeated, and the world will be safe. Until he inevitably returns to completely decimate the land once again in the original Legend of Zelda. Anyways, a magic hallway appears, and walking into it brings us to an... Oh, thanks, Past Westy, for not finishing this sentence in the script. Man, can't trust that guy for anything. The Triforce appears and begins speaking to us, and I'm now beginning to think that maybe we actually lost the battle with Ganon, and this is my hallucination before I die. Welcome, Link. ... You thought I was done? I'm never done beating a dead horse. I am the essence of the Triforce. The Triforce will grant the wishes in the heart and mind of the person who touches it. Well, I'm glad to see that the Triforce continues on the trend of telling us things we already know. If a person with a good heart touches it, it will make his good wishes come true. ... If an evil-hearted person touches it, it grants his evil wishes. What if a neutral person touches it? Like, will it grant a neutral wish? The stronger the wish, the more powerful the Triforce expression of that wish. I guess that means we'll have to really mean it when we ask for a cheeseburger. Gonna have to ask Princess Peach how she got Voldemort to make her one. Shout out to all 7 of you that know what I'm talking about. Ganon's wish was to conquer the world. That wish changed the Golden Land to the Dark World. What? No way! I haven't heard that one before. Ganon was building up his power here so he could conquer the Light World and make his wish come completely true. And the Triforce was not able to do that because... Suppose there are limits to omnipotence these days. But now you have totally destroyed Ganon. His dark world will vanish. Whoa, slow your roll there, English translators. We only destroyed Ganon. The phrase totally destroyed can't be applied to someone who returns in a couple generations. The Triforce is waiting for a new owner. Its golden power is in your hands, ... Now touch it with a wish in your heart. Well, as much as I would like my unlimited cheeseburger wish to be granted, I think I might have a better wish in mind. I wish for everything to go back to normal, and for all things to be made right. Gotta keep it vague in case I forgot something. And we get to see the fruits of our wish as we're brought to the closing cinematics. We are greeted with the scene of the return of the king at Hyrule Castle. Ah, that's nice. The king is no longer a skeleton, and the guards are no longer possessed. Also, speaking of Return of the King, if you thought that had a lot of endings, strap yourself in for this clip show. Next up, we see the loyal sage, back from the dead at the sanctuary. Look at him reading his book, completely ignoring the fact that he failed Zelda and let her get abducted. How could you? Thanks for taking the fall from me, bro. Up next, we head on over to Kakariko for the homecoming of Sahamaka. No. Salsa Verde. No. Saban Power Rangers. Ah, man, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to pronounce Sahasrarla's name correctly. Also, the duck returns to its post, and I'm glad to see that those siblings are no longer feuding. And then we move on over to the Desert Palace, where vultures rule the desert. Also, the former Master Locksmith is getting up to his old ways again. Glad to see things are getting back to normal? I probably should have been less vague about my wish. And over at the Tower of Hera, the Bully and the Roundstone have made it back from the Dark World. And they're human now. Also, they're friends. Well, good for them. Why is the teleportation panel still here? Oh, look, our house that we haven't been inside of since we began this journey. And more importantly, our uncle lives once again. Hey, yo, uncle, check out my swag. You jealous? Oh, now we're visiting the Zerungus. Man, we truly will be seeing absolutely everybody, won't we? The witch and the assistant. Okay, I guess the magic powder was there. Oh, cool, the twin lumberjacks. I was honestly worried we'd never see them again. Oh, and the flute boy plays once again. Thank goodness he's been reunited with his father. And we decide to follow up that emotional reunion with Venus, Queen of the Fairies, who we gave all our money to become happy. Would it be rude to ask for a refund at this point in time? Oh, hey, look, the Dwarven Swordsmiths, for somehow improving the Master Sword. Take a bow, guys. And, of course, the true hero of the story, the Bug-Catching Kid, reunited with his precious net and no longer dying of evil mountain air. And the Lost Man on Death Mountain. We legitimately could not have finished this game without you. Thank goodness you randomly had the magic mirror. What was up with that, anyways? And as for the last character, we end things on the Forest Thief. Oh, clearly, the most important character of them all. I don't know what I'm thinking about. And the Master Sword sleeps again, ... forever. Yeah, about that. Oh, come on, it's not even true in this timeline. And that leads us into the credits, which ends with a count of how many times you died in this adventure. Because if there's one thing I like doing at the end of a monumental task, it's focusing on all my failures. And that brings us to the end of the biggest adventure we've gone on so far. This has been an insane project, and I'm glad to be at the end of it, even though I'm also a little sad. Part of me doesn't want it to end, but another part of me knows that it will never end. As the story may be over, but the legend will live on.